Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So, now we'll be discussing about the Selenium. A new topic will be starting it up from today, and that's the Selenium that we'll be discussing now. Right. So, I'll be taking you through today that what Selenium actually is. Okay, there's a topic for discussion and where it is particularly used. Fine. This is what we are going to discuss. So, I would just start up from here. Fine. So it goes that Selenium is a powerful tool. Selenium is a powerful, okay, that's a few single. Selenium is a powerful tool for controlling, web browsers, through program, for controlling web browser through program. So here goes the program. So Selenium is actually a powerful tool which is used for controlling out the web browsers through the program. So we write out some coding, we just do out some coding stuffs, and with the help of that coding stuffs only, we try to automate out the web browsers. We open out a web browser and according to our needs, we just try to automate out. Let's say you want to open out Google, or let's say you want to open out LinkedIn, whatever the relevant web browser you just want to open out, you open that through it. Fine. So hope I am clear with this. Now, next what we are having, just we just get down here, get out some space, then I'll be letting you what next we are having. So it is function for all browsers, works on all major OS and its scripts are written in various languages. Fine. So basically it is a function for all the browsers. What are browsers we are having? It is one of the functions which is for all the browsers, and it basically works on all the major operating systems. You take it out Windows, you take it out Linux, or whatever you just wish out, it works on all of those major operating systems, and the scripts which we are having out here, those are written into the various languages as well. Now various languages means that you could use Python is as well relevant, basically JavaScript is as well used out. So it depends on what is the relevant language that you are correctly knowing, and with which you could go ahead and put on all these things. Fine. Okay. So that is, I just flipped out at this particular place. Let me complete. So scripts are written in various languages. That is, let's say you have Java. Okay. Then let's say you have Python. Then let's say you are having C#. Okay, etc. You are having many languages like this, many programming languages like this, in which basically these scripts are written for the Selenium. Fine. So here on this particularly one, I'll be working with only Python. Okay, the one which I have chosen out here to write out the things and to write out the scripts and all those things, that is the Python programming language. We'll be dealing up that how we can use Python with the Selenium to write out the codes, and what type of programming we'll be doing, and all those things we'll be discussing up in detail. Right. Now, next to that, we are having that what are different components of Selenium. Okay. So here goes components of Selenium. What are the components of Selenium that we are having out? Let me get down here. Right here. Fine. So we are in total having 4 components. First one is the Selenium IDE. Second one is the Selenium RC. Third one is the Selenium Grid. and fourth one is the Selenium WebDriver web, and here goes the driver. Fine. So these are the four components which we have here of the Selenium IDE, RC Grid, and WebDriver. So what are these all used for? So basically, as I mentioned, that this is one of the you could say tool, or yeah, you could actually call it as a tool or a module, whatever you just want to out. So as I mentioned, that this is one of the tool which basically allows you to put on different and into that in that particular case you'll be able to automate out your web browsers as well, right? So in that case this is the use. Fine. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, the major components already told out: IDE, RC, Grid, and WebDriver. Fine, these are the four major components. Afterwards, we'll be seeing all these things in detail, but not right here. Okay. So, Selenium is completely used out for automating out the web browsers, for controlling a sort of, I would actually say a word that's controlling. Okay, so controlling, I would say a sort of the web applications and the things like that. Okay, in the second condition, basically what happens for the this particular one, that right here for Selenium we have many libraries as well which are relevantly used out, and yeah, automating the web browser and all these things are actually like you could say like on a way as well in the nowadays era. Okay, so in that, if you are just like Selenium is one of a very powerful tool which you should actually learn about and go ahead with. Fine. So these are the ones which we are having in Selenium. It is a very powerful tool for controlling out the web browser through the program. It is a function for all the browsers, works on all major operating systems, and its scripts are written in various languages like Java, Python, C Sharp, etc. Okay. The components of Selenium are IDE, RC, Grid, and WebDriver. Fine. Okay. Now, regarding the Selenium, basically, let's say I want to make out I want to automate it out message using Selenium. Okay. Now, in that particular case, first of all, the Selenium is used. Then we have these four components which are IDE, RC, Grid, and WebDriver that are parts of I would say components of Selenium. So these are having their specific conditions that onto this particular part this would work, or onto that particular part this would work. Right? These are the things which we have out here. So that are particularly to be noticed upon, that whether if you are just automating this thing or that thing. So in which of the Selenium tool, Selenium component which actually best fit the things, right? What are these components, that I would let you know in a short while actually. Fine, right here I hope that this much is very much sufficient for you to understand that these are the components of Selenium and what is it actually. So let me just go above. So Selenium is a very powerful tool for controlling out the web browsers through the program. So it is a function for all browsers, works on all major operating systems, and its scripts are written in various languages such as Java, Python, C Sharp, and etc. So hope I am very much clear with regards of the Selenium, that what is it, and rest of the things we'll be discussing up in the further video. This is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So now we'll be discussing about all the components of the Selenium in detail, right? So the very first topic that I have taken, the very first like you could say component which I have taken is Selenium, and here goes IDE, Selenium IDE. Okay, this is the tool which we are having first. So I'll be taking you to in very much detail regarding this particular topic, that what it is and what are the things that we are having here. Okay, so here goes with the very first one. So the Selenium IDE, that is the full form for this is integrated development environment. Integrated development environment. Okay, this is the name which we are having out from for here, Selenium IDE, integrated development environment. Fine. So what it is one of the this is okay, Selenium integrated development environment is one of the is one of the major tools. Okay, I would write out complete. Is one of the major tools in Selenium. Okay, in Selenium. Actually, what are the 4 tools which we are having right here? We just call them as Selenium suite of tools. This is the correct name which we have out here. Okay, so that's Selenium suite of tools. So all those 4 like for components, or you could say 4 tools which we are having, they combine and form out the Selenium suite of tools. Fine. Okay. So I would refer next things regarding this, that it is a complete. Okay, I will just go down here. It is a complete integrated. It is a complete integrated development environment. Environment. It is a complete integrated development environment for performing out the Selenium test. Okay, it is implementing. Okay, next line. It is implemented as an add-on and as a it is implemented as a it's as on Firefox. Okay, so it is implemented as a Firefox add-on, and it is implemented as a Chrome extension. Okay, this is what it is actually done. Now let me get down here. Fine. So what it allows for recording. It allows for editing, and even debugging of functional okay, here goes the test. Fine. So this okay, it allows for the recording, the editing, and even the debugging of the functional test. This is what it is actually doing right now. Okay. Previously, we basically called it as a Selenium Recorder. The previous name for this Selenium IDE was Selenium Recorder. Fine. But after that it was changed to a Selenium IDE afterwards. Fine. Now, fine, we just started, and it basically began actively maintaining in 2018. Fine. Next, what happens here is that the scripts can be automatically recorded and edited. Okay, I will just write that as well. So right here, so scripts can be automatically recorded and edited. Fine. Scripts can be automatically recorded and edited manually, providing the auto completion support and the ability to move commands around quickly. Okay. Now, scripts basically with that, like here you could especially write out the scripts and that can automatically be recorded and edited manually. Fine. So this basically performs out the commands for performing the actions on a browser. Let's say like you could have out a link, for selecting out the option, for retrieving the data, for resulting out the pages. This is what all this particular Selenium IDE actually does out. Right. Let me get out some space downside, and then I will let you know this thing. Right. I will just write it out. That it provides commands. It provides commands like it provides out the commands like you will have out like actions in a browser. Oh, 1 second. Like actions in a browser. Like actions in a browser. Fine. You could basically click a link here, click out a link. You could select an option, okay, and you could retrieve out the data. So RETRIE, retrieve the data from retrieve the data from resulting pages, retrieve the data from resulting pages, and yes, this is all what it does, right? It allows you to do out all of these actions in a browser, clicking out a link, selecting some options, retrieving out the data from some pages, and all these things. Fine. So Selenium IDE, first of all, IDE stands for the Integrated Development Environment, right? So this is one of the major tools which we have in Selenium. Okay. It is a complete integrated environment. Okay, it is a complete integrated development environment, as the name as well suggests it out, right? So yes, it's a complete integrated development environment which is for the Selenium test. Now, what we have out here is that it is implemented as an add-on onto the Firefox and as a Chrome extension. Okay, the Selenium IDE which we are having, so you could just use this as an add-on on a Firefox, that is the Mozilla Firefox, and this can be used as a Chrome extension as well. Fine. So and even it allows out the recording, it allows out the editing, the debugging. These are all of the things that this particular suite of tool allows out of Selenium IDE. Fine. You could debug out the functional test, you could do out the editing, you could do out some recordings. These are all the things which you can do of the functional test. Fine. Now, the scripts which we are having here that are automatically recorded, and if you just want to edit them, so you could edit them manually as well. That thing as well works out here. Okay. Next it goes. It basically provides you the commands like you have out the actions in browser. It allows you to perform out the commands like actions in browser, like for clicking out a link, for selecting some option, for retrieving out some data from resulting pages, and all of these things are there which this particular IDE allows us to do through and to even to do out. Fine. So this was regarding out the Selenium IDE, that what Selenium IDE is, how do we use this out, and what are the applications, how it is completely used out. Next, again, this is not about the complete Selenium IDE. I would separately be taking some videos, but right here again I have given you an idea regarding the Selenium IDE, that what it is. What are the things, because right now we are moving with the Selenium basics only. So in the basics, this IDE as will come out. Fine. What is the working? What's the main working? That or nothing I have discussed right here. That I'll be taking in a separate video. Simply, I just wanted to give you an overview regarding the IDE. So write that is here. Fine. So hope you just got out this much idea regarding that. It is one of the suite of tool which we are having. A little bit idea regarding what it is used for and what's the full form and what are the things that this particular could do. Right, so I'll be stopping up the video here. This is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So into the previous video, we had seen about the Selenium RC, right? That what is that and what is that used for? Now today's one is for the Selenium WebDriver. So today I'll be telling you about the Selenium, and here we go with the WebDriver. Fine. So I'll be telling you that what Selenium WebDriver is, how we use that out, and all the things I'll be letting you know there only. Fine. So here we go with the Selenium WebDriver. Now, what is it? So I would start writing out that Selenium WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver is the successor for Selenium RC. Okay, so it is we just call it as that Selenium WebDriver is the successor for Selenium RC. Fine. So what does that WebDriver do? So Selenium WebDrivers, okay, that is SEL, I would mention out again. So the Selenium WebDriver accepts the commands. Selenium WebDriver accepts commands, and sends them to a browser. This is what the Selenium WebDriver actually does. So the Selenium WebDriver accepts out the commands and sends them to a browser. Fine. So this is okay. How is this particular thing implemented? So I would mention that also, that this is implemented. This is implemented through a browser. This is implemented through a browser. I would mention a browser as a specific browser. Okay, browser through a specific browser driver. Through a specific browser driver, which sends commands, which sends commands to a browser, which sends commands to a browser, and retrieves out the retrieves the results. So the Selenium WebDriver accepts out the commands and sends them to a browser. This is implemented through a browser-specific browser driver, which sends the commands to a browser and retrieves out the result. This is how it works out. Okay. Next, what are the browsers that are supported by the Selenium WebDriver? So I would mention that most of the browser drivers, actually launch, and basically access out the browser application and access the browser application. Okay, I will just mention out application clearly, and application. So most of the browser drivers actually launch and access the browser applications. Fine. Like examples for that which we are having is such as Firefox, we have Google Chrome, we have Internet Explorer, we have Safari, we have Microsoft Edge. So these are some of the browsers onto which this particular WebDriver work out. Fine. So there is basically HTML unit browser, which is basically used for these only. Fine. Now, next things about the Selenium WebDriver. So I would mention again, I would write it out. So here it goes, that Selenium WebDriver does not need a special server, Selenium WebDriver does not need a special server to execute that test. So basically we do not need out a separate or special browser to execute out the test. Whatever browser you are having, it works onto that only. Fine. Instead of that, okay, I would mention instead the one which we are having, I would just mention instead the WebDriver directly starts. Okay, let me remove this out. Instead of WebDriver directly starts. One second, let me get down from here. Fine. So Selenium WebDriver does not need out a special servers to execute tests. Instead, the WebDriver directly starts. It directly starts a browser. Directly starts out a browser instance. and controls it fine. However, basically we have one more, that is Selenium Grid, so that as well can be used with a WebDriver to execute out some different types of tests and some different remote systems. So that is the apart thing right here. Now WebDriver, what does it uses out? So the WebDriver uses native operating system operating system level functionality. So WebDriver uses native operating system level functionality rather than let me get down from here. WebDriver uses native operating system level functionality rather than browser-based JavaScript commands, rather than using out the browser-based JavaScript commands to drive the browser. Fine. So basically this is what here this Selenium WebDriver does. So Selenium WebDriver is the successor for Selenium RC, we could say that out. Selenium WebDriver accepts out the commands and sends them to a browser. This is implemented through a browser, a specific browser driven, which sends the commands to a browser and retrieves the results. Most of the browser drivers actually launch and access the browser application. Selenium WebDriver does not need a special server to execute the test. Instead, the WebDriver directly starts a browser instance and controls it. So WebDriver uses the native operating system level functionality rather than browser-based JavaScript commands to drive out the browser. Right? So hope I am very much clear regarding the Selenium WebDriver as well, that what it is, how it is used, and what are the things it is, basically what are the applications which is performed. Right? Again, I am just repeating that out, that it's not the complete idea that I am giving you, as we are moving from the very basics of the Selenium. So I am simply covering the very basics of the Selenium suite of tools as well, which we are having. Other than that, I am not going very much ahead into this topic. I will be deep diving into this topic after some few more topics, so that you get out a better understanding of all of these things which I am telling you here. Fine, we have many more things here onto all of these suite of tools, so that I will be taking forward and that I will be taking in a very detailed explanation. Right, so hope I am very much clear with this particular thing. So I'll be stopping up here. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to learn about the Selenium Grid. Okay, so this is one of the last Selenium suite of tools which we have here in the Selenium. Okay, let's get started and see that what is Selenium Grid. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the writing of the things. Okay. So here we have about the Selenium Grid. Okay. Selenium Grid is a server. Selenium Grid is a server that allows test to use web browser. Let me get down. So Selenium Grid is a server that allows test to use web browser instances. Here goes the instances running on remote machines. So Selenium Grid is a server that allows test to use web browser instances running on remote machines. Okay. Now, next what we are having out here. So I would write on the next things as well, that with Selenium Grid, with Selenium Grid, one server acts as the hub. So Okay, when we are dealing out with the Selenium Grid, so there we have a server, and that particular server acts as a hub. Okay. Let me get down and get out some space, and I would proceed on with whatever the things I just want to write out here. 1 second, right here, hub. Fine. Okay. After that, we have that the test contact the hub to obtain access to browser. So the test contact the hub to obtain the access to the browser instances, okay. Now the hub which we are talking about, that has a lots of you could say it has a lot of instances, it has a lot of servers, I would actually add out. Okay, so it has a lot of servers, I would add it out. So the hub has a list of server that provide the access to browser instances. So the hub has a list of server that provides the access to the browser instances. Okay, we call that as a WebDriver nodes as well. So WebDriver, and here goes the nodes. Fine. And let's test use. Let me get down, and let's test use these instances. Okay, use these instances. Fine. Now, next thing which I have regarding out the Selenium Grid is that the Selenium Grid allows running the test. The Selenium Grid allows running tests in parallel on multiple machines. Okay, in parallel on multiple machines, and to manage different browser versions, and let me get down out here, different browser versions, and basically it has different browser versions and browser configurations centrally. Okay, so here goes centrally. Okay, let me just go above first of all. So what is Selenium Grid? Selenium Grid is a server that allows the test to use web browser instances running on remote machines. Okay, with the help of Selenium Grid, one server acts as the hub. Test contact to the hub to obtain out the access to the browser instances. Okay, what is that hub? So hub has a list of server that provides the access to the browser instances. Okay, and lets the test use out these instances. Selenium Grid allows running tests in parallel on multiple machines and to manage out different browser versions and browser configurations centrally. Okay, let me get down here. Right here at this particular place. Right. Next we have that the ability to run tests on remote browser instances on remote browser instances is useful to spread the load of testing across several machines. Okay, testing across several machines, and to run tests in browser running on different platforms or operating systems, or operating, let me get down here, different to run tests in different browser running on different platforms or operating systems, the latter. Okay, now next thing that we are having out here, that okay, this thing is particularly useful. Okay, I would just remove this right. So this is particularly useful in cases where not all browsers to be used for testing can run on the same platform. Okay, so okay, so the ability to run tests on remote browser instances is useful to spread the load of testing across several machines and to run the test in browsers running on different platforms or operating systems. This is particularly useful in cases where not all browsers to be used for testing can run on the same platform. Okay, so hope I am very much clear regarding this Selenium WebDriver as well, that's what it is, and sorry, the Selenium Grid as well, that's what it is and how it is used out. Let me just go above and once give you a quick revision of all the things. So Selenium Grid is a server that allows out the test to use web browser instances running on remote machines. With Selenium Grid, one server acts as the hub. Okay, test contact the hub to obtain the access to the browser instances. So the hub has a list of servers that provide the access to browser instances and lets the test use these instances. Selenium Grid allows running out the test in parallel on multiple machines and to manage out the different browser versions and browser configurations centrally. This ability to run out the test on remote browser instances is useful to spread the load of testing across several machines and to run tests in the browser running on different platforms or operating systems. This is particularly useful in cases where not all browsers to be used for testing can run on the same platform. Okay, so hope I am very much clear regarding the Selenium Grid, that's what it is and how we use out. Again, this is a brief introduction only. We'll be moving toward the detail in a short while. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So, in the previous video, we had studied about the Selenium IDE, right? So today I'll be taking you to the Selenium RC. So, chosen this color and click OK, right? So Selenium, and then we have RC. This is the topic for discussion of now, right? So I will just choose out a color here so that I will proceed on with the writing. Fine. Okay. So Selenium RC. We call it as a remote control. Okay, remote control. So Selenium RC is basically, first one, RC stands out for the remote control. Okay, is a server that is actually written in Java. Okay, is a server which is written in Java programming language. Okay, fine. So Selenium RC stands for the auto remote control, is a server written in Java that accepts commands for the browser via HTTP, that is the hypertext, HTTP is like we have the right that we already have that out, fine. So onto the every of the website then starting we have the HTTPs, right? So that is the same here only. So fine. So Selenium RC, that is remote controlled server that is written in Java that accepts out the commands for the browsers via HTTP. Fine. Now through RC makes it possible to write let me just get down and get out some space right here. So yeah, RC makes it possible to write automated test. Okay, to write out the automated test. So RC makes it possible to write out the automated test for a web application. So for a web application in any programming language, here we go with the programming language. So here we put on the language. So this RC, that is remote control, it makes it possible to write automated tests for a web application in any of the programming language, right? In any programming language which allows for better integration of Selenium in existing unit test frameworks, in existing unit test frameworks. Here goes the frame and here goes the frameworks, fine. So let me go above. So Selenium RC, that is remote control, is a server that is written in Java that accepts out the commands for the browser via the HTTP. Fine. So RC makes it possible to write out the automated test for a web application in any programming language, which allows for better integration of Selenium in existing unit test frameworks. Fine. Now, for making out the writing easier too, I would just write that out alpha to make out writing test easier. Selenium project currently provides the client drivers. Okay, Selenium provides out the client drivers. So I would write out here that Selenium provides the client drivers. So here we go with the drivers. So to make out writing test easier, Selenium provides the client drivers, and which provides the client drivers for PHP we have for Python, for Ruby. I would just simply write it out here, etc. And etc. We have .NET, we have Perl, we have Java. So these are all the long languages in which this make out writing test easier, and Selenium provides the client server drivers for all of these particular things, right? So in that case, now one more important thing regarding this, that not important, I would just write not this thing, I would just write as instance. Okay, an instance is required, and instances is completely like I would just mention this out in this way, that an instance of an instance of Selenium RC server is needed to launch is needed to HTML test case. So an instance of Selenium RC server is needed out for launching out a HTML test case. Fine. Now, which means that the port which we have, which means that the port should be different for each of the parallel run. Okay, so an instance of Selenium RC server is needed to launch the HTML test case, which completely means out that the post should be, sorry, not the port, that's the port. So the port should be different for each parallel run. Okay, howsoever, basically these are the things which we need to keep in mind for the Selenium RC. What I would do, I would just give you a quick recap of whatever we have studied under the RC. Fine. So the Selenium RC, that is remote control, is a server that is written in Java that accepts out the commands for the browsers via the HTTP. RC makes it possible to write automated tests for a web application in any of the programming languages, which allows for better integration of Selenium in existing unit test frameworks. To make out writing tests easier, Selenium provides the client drivers for PHP, Ruby, Python, Java, .NET, and Perl. All of these are for which it provides out the client drivers. An instance of Selenium RC server is needed to launch the HTML test case, which means that the port should be different for each of the parallel runs. Right. So hope I am very much clear regarding these particular Selenium RC, whatever I have told you regarding Selenium RC. Hope I am very much clear with that. So now we'll be meeting in the next video with our next Selenium suite of tools. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing good. So today we are going to study about the manual testing, that what manual testing actually is and how we do that out, what's the requirement of that, and especially with the help of Selenium, what is that used for actually. Okay, this is the topic for today that we are going to discuss out. So let me just get down here. Let's get started out from that what manual testing actually is. Okay, so I would just write out, and till that at that particular moment only I would explain as well that what does this particular thing means out. So here the manual testing is a software testing. The manual testing is a software. Manual testing is a software testing process. Oh, okay, one second. Where's my cursor? Right here. Process. Okay. So, the manual testing is a software testing process, in which test cases are executed, manually without using without using any automated tool. Here goes the automated tool. Okay, I would explain first of all here that what manual testing actually is. So manual testing is a software testing process in which the test cases are executed manually. It means that what the test cases we are having, let's say I am making out some project. Okay, so for the better run of that project, and so for that product, and so as that whenever that product goes into market, we do not face out any errors, or we do not face out any complaints regarding that product. So so as to avoid all of these things, we use on the manual testing. Okay, now It's a kind of a testing in which whatever test cases we take. Test cases are sort of some use cases which we put on here to check out our product which we are making out. So these test cases are executed manually, means that you perform those test cases onto your own. There is no such automated machine or no such automatic tool that will automatically perform the test cases for you. No, it's not the case. You manually, you hand in hand, perform out all the test cases, search about all the techniques which you have written, go ahead and visualize and like check on your product, whatever is made out. These all things are done by you only. Okay, that particular is called as manual testing. As the name suggests, manual. So it means that doing something manual, doing something onto yourself. Okay. Right, so hope I am clear with this particular thing. Let me get out some space, and then let's start writing with the other of the things. So here we give that all the test cases, all the test cases executed, all the test cases executed by the, all the test cases executed by the test manually test okay, one second, are executed by the tester. Okay, what are the test cases we are writing out, we are having out, all of those are executed by the tester. Manual tester is a person who tests out all of your test cases for your relevant product. That particular person is called as a tester. So whatever the test cases are being executed, so those are executed by the tester manually, means the tester sits down and just quickly go ahead with your all of the test cases for your product. Okay, now basically what does that actually helps us to do? So it helps us to ensure that whether the application which you have made, whether the product which you have made, that is working or not. Okay, this is the main requirement of using on the manual testing. Okay, either any of the testing, not only manual testing, any of the testing, this is only the required thing, that why we do that out. Okay, so the test cases, what are these? These are the planned and implemented to complete about the 100% of the software application. So whatever the software application actually is, whatever the application you are making, so test cases make sure that whatever the things you have written, whatever the things are made by you, those are completely 100% made up and 100% completed. So as again I would repeat, which I told in the starting, so as that if you sell out that product in or bring that particular product into the market, so you do not face out any of the relevant like problems or anything like that. Okay, this is what it is used for. So the test cases reports, when the test cases are being performed, so after that we have a report as well, right? And from that respective report only we just check out what are the things happening, what are the things which are not working, and all those things. So those respective test case reports which we are having, that are as well generated out here manually. So I would mention that here, that the test case reports are also generated, here goes, manually. Okay, so it is one of the most fundamental testing process which we can find. Okay, in which we can find out the visible and the hidden defects as well of a particular software. This is one of the most fundamental testing process. Okay, as what it does, it helps us to find on the hidden defects, and everything is completely visible to you. So whatever are your errors, whatever the things you are having onto that, what defects you are having, you could sort them out. Okay, now what I just meant from the defect word here, which I just used that hidden defects, I just used that out. So that respective words means that the difference between the expected output and the output which is given by the software, that particular is defined as a defect. I will just mention that out because it's one of the important points here. So okay, right here. So right here it goes that the difference between expected output and output and output given by the software, and output given by the software is defined as defect. Okay, so the difference which is expected between the output and the output which is given by the software, the difference between both of those is defined as a defect. This is what a defect is actually called. Fine. So the developer picks up on the defects and handed it to the tester for the testing. So what are the defects were there, if any, in your product? So those defects are being cleared up and sorted up by the developer, and then that perspective is handed to the tester for performing out the rest of the testing onto that relevant product. Fine. So this is how this particular manual testing actually works. This is how what manual testing actually is. Okay. But what are the things that this is one of the testing which requires out of great efforts. Great efforts. You need to give out a lot of time, a lot of effort, because whatever the things you are having, all of those are done simply manually here. Okay, it's not a machine that you would put something on, you will get out an output. No, it's not that case. You need to check out each and every line here. You need to go through everything here completely, and then this particular manual testing is actually performed. So absolutely it is having a great effort, and even it needs a like too much of time. But when you are doing something manually, when you're performing something from your side only, so that is completely bug free. That is like you do not have any of the bugs into your relevant project. Fine. So if it has some disadvantages, it has advantages only as well. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that if a particular thing is having advantages, then it won't have disadvantages, or if anything is having disadvantages, won't have advantages. It won't happen like this. Okay. So this is how it actually works out. Let me just go above now here for a short while and explain you, give you a quick recap that what did we discuss today here. So we first of all discussed about the manual testing, that what it is. It is a software testing process in which the test cases are executed manually without using any of the automated tools. Okay, all the test cases which are executed by the tester manually. Test case reports are also generated manually, and the difference between the expected output and the output given by the software is defined as a defect. So this is all what we understood today regarding the manual testing. Hope I made up this particular manual testing very much clear, that what it is, what it's used for, and how to perform that out. So in the next video, we are going to see out some new topics. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So in the previous video, we discussed about the manual testing, that what manual testing actually is, and what are the things that we have, what are the advantages, and even what are the disadvantages here, right? So today we are going to discuss about, first of all, the automation testing. That the revision for the manual testing I would give at the last of the video. Okay, not right here. So let's get started. Let me quickly take on a color to proceed on with the writing, and then let's go ahead. Fine. So let's discuss about the automation testing, that what automation testing is. Okay. Firstly, if I talk about simply the name of automation, what does that mean actually? So automation means like automating something, right? So automation means automating. Automating means that any work which is automatically done, right? This is what is called as automating, right? Any work. So I would just put on this particular thing here as well, that any work any work done automatically, okay, any of the work which is done automatically. Fine. So yeah, that so comes in the automation testing as well. So automation testing, I would let you know here, right here with the definition, that as the name suggests, automation testing is one of the, first of all, very important, and the like very important thing in the testing field. Okay, actually, right. So okay, so okay, let me remove out first of all this. Let me start out with another way, that when it comes to the web applications, when it comes to the web applications, it is essential it is essential to test, it is essential to test the user interface, to test the user interface, to ensure that a flawless experience, is delivered to the end users. First of all, this is a very requirement that when it comes to the web application, so in that respective case, it is very much essential to test the user interface to ensure that there is a flawless experience in the like work in the product which is delivered to the end user. This is the very first thing which we focus upon right here, right? Now, after that, basically what do we have? So this is the place where we just need on the test automation. This is the place where the automation of the testing is needed. So here comes the role of automation testing. Into this particular place, right? So now I'm going to describe that what automation testing actually is. So let's get started up with the automation testing. Fine. So let me get down here. Okay, so as the name suggests that about the automation testing, so I will just write that out. Automation testing. So what does this automation testing actually does? It takes out a software. Okay, automation testing takes the software testing takes the software testing activities. Automation testing takes the software testing activities and what it does, and it executes them through an automation tool set, automation framework. I would mention that out. Automation framework. So what is automation testing actually does? So automation testing actually takes on the software testing activities and executes them through an automation framework. This is the place where I defined about that what automation testing actually is. Now, let's say in the manual testing, what we understood regarding that we have the test cases, and those test cases are performed by the testers, which are performed manually. But in the automation testing, what we already have an automated framework. We have already an automation framework. So in that respective case, something is performed automatically, not manually. Okay, this is what we call it as here. So if I just talk in very simple words regarding the automation testing, so we could see that it is a type of testing in which a tool executes a set of tasks in a defined pattern. Okay, in which a tool executes a set of tasks, and that so is in a defined pattern, right? So hope I am clear with that perspective that here what automation testing actually is. Right now, what is this used for? So it is used for basically for making out the scripted sequence while the executing of the testing tool. So let's say I have some test cases right here and I want to execute them out. We want the reports as well for all of those. So in that case, this automation testing already automatically gives up the report. It not only gives us the report, but whatever the testing tools are basically executed, it examines how that particular software and reports you to give you the reports. And even what it does, it compares that respective with the result with the earlier test activities as well, which were performed out. So what it does, it simply first of all gives you a report. After that, whatever the previous text and the previous test cases were there and they were run, so it compares your like final report, the recent report, with those previous ones, and after that it gives you the comparison as well and the report outcome of whatever is being performed there, and how is the output, how is that in the comparison. All those things are completely given up here through that respective particular I would say report, okay, which is being generated in the automation testing. So this is the idea regarding the automation testing here, that what it is actually and how does it plays the role. Now if I talk about the manual testing here, so in that we learned about that it is a software testing process in which the test cases are executed manually without using any of the automated tools, right? What are the test cases we are having that are executed by the tester manually? Test case reports also generate manually. So here the test case reports which you're having, those are as well generated manually here, okay? And in the automated testing we learned about, one second. So in the automated testing we learned about that first of all automation means that any work which is done automatically. Then when it comes about the web application, so it is very much essential to test out the interfaces so as to ensure that a flawless experience is first of all delivered to the end user. This is the reason that's why we need on the testing first of all, okay? When I talk about automation testing in detail, so we could say it is in a form of a very simple one, that it is a type of testing in which basically a tool executes a set of tasks, that's so in a very defined pattern. So the automation testing takes the software testing activities and executes them through an automation framework. Right, so hope I am very much clear regarding the automation testing as well, that what automation testing is, how we do that out, what it is completely used for, and how that is different, and as well automation testing saves our time. So yeah, we could say in one of the ways that it is more time saving, more beneficial than the manual testing. Right, so hope I am very much clear with that. So I'll be stopping up here. So we'll meet you in the next video. This is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So today we are gonna see out the detail for the Selenium IDE, right? Okay, remember I told you 4 different sort of tools that we have in Selenium, right? I just told up a very brief intro about them in the one of my previous videos, right? So now what we'll be following is that we'll be going to the details of each and every sort of tool here in the Selenium. See, whenever we are talking about the Selenium, so in that these 4 sort of tools which are mentioned up, and the name for those are IDE, RC, WebDriver and the Grid. These are the four very most important sort of tools which we have out here. So whole Selenium is, I would say whole Selenium is completely based on these 4 sort of tools only. So you should have a good knowledge of these sort of tools to go ahead with the Selenium language, okay? So hope I'm first of all very much clear with this particular thing, that what to follow and how we are going to proceed on. Fine. So I'll be starting up today with what is Selenium IDE. Okay, what is Selenium IDE in detail. After that we'll be talking about the features, the advantages, and even we'll be talking about the limitations of the Selenium IDE. So this is how we are going to proceed on. Okay. Okay, let me just quickly take on a color here so we can write out. Great. I'll be starting it up from here, that Selenium IDE. Okay, for IDE, we already discussed up that what's the full form in that respective case. So IDE stands for Integrated Development Integrated Development Environment. ENVIRON environment, right? This is what Selenium IDE actually stands for, Integrated Development Environment, right? So now what is this primarily what is this used for? So if we talk about the use of Selenium IDE, so in that case we could say that it is one of a suite of tool of Selenium which is primarily a record, or you could say a tool, okay, that basically a test case developer uses to develop up the Selenium test cases. Okay, so I have to write out this for respective thing. So I would say that a tool which okay, not which, that I would not write, a tool that a test case developer uses to uses to develop Selenium test cases. Uses to develop Selenium test cases. Fine. Great. So the Selenium IDE is one of the integrated. First of all, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and secondly, it is a tool that a test case developer uses to develop Selenium test cases. Okay, so whosoever is a test case developer, that respective person uses on the Selenium IDE to develop up the test cases. Okay, why we need to use up the test cases and what's the use of developing the test cases? So that we already discussed up in very detail in the previous video. So if you are not remembering that, I would just give you a very quick brief about that. Regarding the Selenium test cases, we can say that, let's say you are making up a product. Okay, you have built on some product, or either you take it software, whatever you just say. For everything, I'm just simply naming that as a product. Okay, I am having out a product that is built out by me. Now, so as to release that into the market, before releasing that respective product into the market, I need to give it a lot of test cases, right? So that whenever my product goes into market, so the buyer, the persons who are buying out that respective product, they have no issues with that respective particular product is completely bug free and it doesn't have any errors or any sort of things like that, right? So for testing out all of those things, for checking out those things, that whatever the product you have made, whether will that satisfy the user requirements and all those things, we simply develop out the test cases. And for that test cases, who developed that out? So we have a separate test case developers. So those are the persons who develop out the test cases, who check out your respective product by giving them different types of test cases. And after that, if any changes are required, so that changes are performed. Otherwise, your product is good to go in the market, right? So this is the procedure which actually takes place. So in that respective case, only Selenium IDE is one of the tools which is used out by the developers, right? Hope I'm clear with that. Great. Now, it is basically, this is one of the easy to learn tool, easy to use as well. It is one of the tools which is very much easy to learn and even use as well. So I would just write that out. Let me mention that in a new line. That it is easy to use tool. It is easy to use tool. Fine. And which we have from the Selenium test suite. So among the 4.1, this is one of the easy tools to use out, and it can even be used by someone new who is developing some automated test cases for their web applications as well. Okay, one more thing, that Selenium is one of the IDE, or I would say there in Selenium we have some of the tools which completely work upon the web automation only. Okay, so there are some respective ones which completely work upon the web automation only. So it's just one of those, right? So if basically you have, if someone is very much new into developing of these automated test cases and all those things, so in that respective case, it is easy to use tool actually. So you could go ahead with the use of the Selenium IDE. Okay. Next, other than that, basically you do not require any special setup to get started with the Selenium IDE. So no special setup is required here for the Selenium IDE. Simply like nothing new is used, or any software or anything like that. Nothing is like needed in that respective case. Okay. So what you need to do is that you simply need to add on a simple extension of a specific browser. Whatever browser you are using, and for whatever the browser you are actually looking for, and you are automating out the test case and all those things. So respective to that particular browser only, you simply need to add the extension of your specific browser. Nothing more than that. Nothing installation, nothing downloading, nothing is required in that particular case. Okay, only you need to put up the extension of your specific browser. Great. Then basically next we are having that what the Selenium IDE actually provides us with. So Selenium IDE is that respective tool. Okay, I would write out that particular thing because it's important. So I would write Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE provides you. Selenium IDE provides you with. Let me get down. So yeah, Selenium IDE provides you with a GUI, with a GUI, that is the graphical user interface. For what it provides you a GUI for easily recording your interactions. Okay, see, here go interactions with the website. Okay, so this Selenium IDE as well provides you with a GUI for easy recording your interactions with the website. So it as well provides you a GUI, that's the graphical user interface. Right. Now let me get back above here for the Selenium IDE and let's check out that what are the things which we have learned regarding the Selenium IDE here. So if we start out, so the first of all we learned that IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, right? It stands for Integrated Development Environment. Next, basically, what is the Selenium IDE? So it is a tool that a test case developer uses to develop up the Selenium test cases. So it is one of the tools which is used by the test case developers to develop up the Selenium test cases. Right? Next, it is one of the very easy to use tools. So if you're a person basically who just started up the developing of these like test cases, if you're very new into this particular thing, so in that case you could prefer out the Selenium IDE tool because it is one of the easy to use tools. Okay, and next basically Selenium IDE provides you with a GUI, that's the graphical user interface, for easily recording your interactions with the website. So here you have a GUI as well, which very simply actually allows you to record the interactions with the website. Okay, so right, hope I'm very much clear with this particular complete idea that what does the Selenium provides to you, Selenium IDE provides to you, what kind of tool it is, and basically how it is used out by the testers, right? Now, I'll be stopping up here in this respective video. Further in the next video, we will be going more in depth for the Selenium IDE. They're going more in depth regarding the limitations, regarding the uses, regarding the advantages and all those things, right? So, this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So, right in the previous video, we discussed about the Selenium IDE, right? That what Selenium IDE actually is, what it is used for, and what it actually provides you with, right? That we had discussed out. Very great. So today in this respective video as well, I'll be proceeding on with the Selenium IDE only. We'll be discussing about some more interesting facts regarding the Selenium IDE. Okay, now there is one more thing regarding the Selenium IDE actually which I haven't mentioned till now, but okay, I would mention it right here. That it is one of the, I would say, this IDE allows a user or a test case developer to create the test cases and to edit on that test cases as well whenever required. Okay, as per the requirements, whenever required, it first of all allows the user to make out a test case, right, or a test case developer to create on the respective test cases, and it basically at the last time after that respective test cases has run or anything like that, if you want to edit on that test case, so yes, you can do that. So Selenium IDE allows this respective feature to do this particular thing according to your requirements. Okay, so right, hope I'm clear with this. Okay, next thing regarding the IDE was that first of all, IDE was only and only available for the Firefox. Only for the Firefox users it was available. I would write that out. So if you're starting out simple anything, you should have a little bit of knowledge about that particular thing as well, that till what time it was available for that users and what are the browsers it actually use out and all those things, right? So firstly, it was only and only available for the Firefox users. First of all, it was available for those only. Okay, Then in March 2020, it was available as a extension for the Chrome browser, Chrome users as well. Fine. So when it basically when it was available for the Chrome users, it was available on 17th March 2020. So before 17 March 2020, if a person is having the Firefox, so it was available only for the Firefox users. It doesn't supported out the Chrome. Okay, but as soon as a new version was released on 17th March 2020, so from that perspective place, it started supporting the Chrome users as well. Okay, so now right here you could use any of the extensions of the Chrome as well if you wish out, right? Great. Now what I'll be doing is that we'll be discussing about some features of the Selenium IDE. That what are the features which you have under the Selenium IDE. So let me get down here, get out some space, and even let me just change out some color as well here. So let's go with this one. So here it goes down. The features of Selenium, the features of Selenium IDE. Okay, the features of Selenium IDE. Fine. So the very first feature of Selenium IDE is the speed control. Okay. Now what it does is that is what we actually meant from speed control. So what it does, it helps to control the speed of the test cases. Okay. So the very first feature of Selenium IDE is that it helps to control the speed of the test cases. Right. Now what's the requirement for that particular thing? So requirement could be that whenever you are going like I would say whenever you're applying out any of the test cases, so if that particular test case runs a little bit slow in a motion, slow and like it runs with a somewhat medium speed, so in that case your things gets more checked out. Your test cases actually can figure out if any of the bug or if any of the error somewhat at a good speed, I would say. Okay. So that is the reason it is one of the features of that speed control. Fine. Okay, second feature you are having run. Okay, 1 second. The second feature which you are having out here is run all. Okay, now what it does, it allows the execution of the entire test suite. Okay, whatever the test suite has been written up by you, test suite is a collection of many test cases. Okay, so whatever has been written by you in that case, so it allows the execution of the entire test suite which you have written out. Okay, so at one time it allows the execution of that entire. Fine. So this is the second feature which you have out here in the Selenium IDE. Next, moving towards the third, we have the run. Okay, so what it does, it as well helps you to run out the selected test. Okay, runs the currently selected test. So whatever the test currently has been selected by you, it helps you to run out that respective test. Okay, so hope I'm clear with that as well. Next, okay, I would just write particular thing. I haven't written that out. Run. Okay. Next we have 1 second. Next we have pause / resume. Now, what is this pause / resume? So in that case, it allows a user to pause and resume a particular test case. Let's say you have written in test case and you're running out that particular test case, and now you just want to stop that or pause that at some interval of time, right? So in that particular case, this Selenium IDE has a feature which as well allows a user to pause and resume a particular test case. So this is one another thing. Next, number 5. Number 5 feature we are having as stop. So what it does with this stop? So in that case, it helps the step in step. Okay, sorry, it's not stop. It's somewhat like step, right? Great. So what it does with the step, so it helps step into each specific command in the test script. Okay, so basically let's say if you want to go from one step to another or anything like that, but in that step feature which you have in Selenium IDE, it helps you to step into each specific command in the test script. whatever the commands have been written by you in that test script, it goes on each and every command which is written out by you. Okay, so this is what the step function actually here is. Fine. And here we have the last feature of the Selenium IDE, and that's the roll up. I would write that out. So it's roll up. Okay. Now, what is this roll up is used for? So this basically helps you to group all the Selenium commands together and make them execute as a single operation. So what are the commands have been written out by you? What it does, it groups all of them together, and it helps you to execute them as a single operation. Okay, so what are the commands have been written by you? It groups all of them and allows you to run all of them as a single operation. Right, so these are some features of the Selenium IDE which we are having out. The very first one is that it helps to control the speed of the test cases. Next, we are having that it allows the execution of the entire test suite. Okay. Next, third, we are having that runs the currently selected test. Okay. After that, fourth, we are having that allows a user to pause and resume a particular test case. Okay. Next, number 5, we are having that it helps step into each specific command in the test script. And last, we are having the feature which is that it helps group up all of the commands together and makes them execute in a single operation. Right? So, hope I'm clear with all of these features which I have told you right here regarding the Selenium IDE. That's what are the features of the Selenium IDE, right? And even I mentioned up regarding the use of this about the Firefox users. So previously Selenium IDE was only available for the Firefox users, but from 17 March 2020 as a new version of Selenium came, after that it was available for everyone, right? Great. So hope I'm very much clear with these things regarding the Selenium, some facts regarding the Selenium IDE, and as well regarding the features, that what are the features of the Selenium IDE. Okay. Now we are simply left out with the first of all the uses of this. Basically, what are the benefits of using Selenium IDE, and basically next we are left out with the limitations of Selenium IDE, right? So that we will be discussing up in the next video. So right. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So now into the previous video we have discussed about the Selenium, right? So we discussed about the Selenium, that what are the different things which we are having out here in the Selenium, and even we discussed about some features of Selenium IDE, right? Okay. Now into this respective video, today we are again gonna discuss out the benefits of the Selenium IDE. Okay, I'll be letting you know that what are the benefits of the Selenium IDE and why, like basically why Selenium IDE is used out a lot. Fine, this is the respective idea, and at last I'll be letting you know some limitations as well of the Selenium IDE. Okay, great. So I would simply change out a color here, and after that we'll be good to go to proceed on with the things. And here we go with the benefits. Great, right here, benefits. Okay, so I'll be now discussing about the benefits of the using of the Selenium IDE. The first one is that it provides you with the capability of automatically recording your test cases based upon the interactions with the browser. Now recording up the test cases according to your browser, and that particular thing we already discussed previously in the definition, right? So that is one of the benefits which you're having. I would write that out, that it provides you the capability of automatically recording your test cases based upon the interactions with the browser. Okay. So the Selenium IDE provides you the capability of automatically recording your test cases based upon the interactions with the browser. Okay. So this is the very first benefit which you are having of using the Selenium IDE. Next basically we are having that the operates on the basis of the rich set of commands. Okay, one second. Rich set of, and here goes rich set of commands, which helps the IDE. Okay, let me get down. Operates on the basis of the rich set of commands, which helps the IDE understand what needs to be done. Understand what needs to be done. Okay, so it operates under the basis of the rich set of commands, which helps the IDE understand what needs to be done. Okay, so for that perspective, we are having the different commands as well, some rich set of commands which allows you to do out that respective thing as well. Right? Great. Now let's move towards the third point, third benefit of using the Selenium IDE. And that perspective is that it allows the test developers. Great. So it allows out the test developers to set breakpoints for the purpose of debugging. One second. Allows the test developers to set breakpoints for the purpose of debugging particular test cases. Okay, so it allows the test developers to set the breakpoints for the purpose of debugging the particular test cases. Right, so this is the benefit of using up the Selenium IDE which we are having out here. Okay, next we are having one more very important benefit, that is use of multiple locators. Okay, use of multiple locators for each. One second. Great. So use of multiple locators for each element in the IDE ensures successful execution. The use of multiple locators for each element in the IDE ensures the successful execution. Right, so this is the next benefit which we are having for the Selenium IDE. Right, so hope I'm very much clear with this particular thing, that what are the benefits of using the Selenium IDE. First is that it provides you the capability of automatically recording your test cases based upon the interactions with the browser. Secondly, it operates on the basis of the rich set of commands which helps the IDE understand what needs to be done. Then next, number 3, we are having that allows the test developers to set breakpoints for the purpose of debugging particular test cases. And the number 4 is that use of multiple locators for each element in the IDE ensures successful execution. Right, so hope I'm very much clear with these 4 points regarding the benefits of the Selenium IDE. And now let's discuss about some limitations of the Selenium IDE as well. So I would again take out one different color, let's say this one. And here goes the limitations. Right here. Fine. So what is the very first limitation? That it is not suitable. It is not suitable for testing. It is not suitable for testing the extensive data. So the very first limitation of the Selenium IDE is that it is not suitable for testing up the extensive data. Fine. Then number 2. Point number 2, we are having that connections with the database. Connections with the database cannot be tested. Okay, what are the connections are with the databases? Those particulars cannot be tested. Okay, next. Okay, point number 3. Point number 3 is that it cannot handle out the dynamic part of the web-based application. Let's say you are having out a web-based application, so it cannot handle up the dynamic part of that respective web-based application. Okay. Next, moving towards the point number 5. Point number 5, we are having that it does not support out the capturing of the screenshots on test failures. Okay. So in that, the Selenium IDE is one of the tools which actually does not support, or yeah, actually I would say support only. Which does not support capturing the screenshots on the test failures, right? And next limitation which we are having is that there is no feature available for generating the result reports. So you can't generate on the result reports as well, because there is no such feature which is present for generating the result reports. So these are some limitations which we have here for the Selenium IDE as well, right? So now let me just quickly go above for a short while and let's discuss that what are things that we have learned in the Selenium IDE. Okay. So first of all, for the Selenium IDE, we understood that IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. And what is Selenium IDE? It is a tool that a test case developer uses to develop the Selenium test cases. It is one of the easy to use tools. Okay, one second. Selenium IDE provides you with a GUI for easily recording your interactions with the website. Fine. One second. Great. Now, previously it was only available for Firefox, but now it is for the Google as well. So, features of Selenium IDE are speed control, run all, run, pause, / resume, step and a roll up. Benefits are that provides you with the capability of automatically recording your test cases based upon the interactions with the browser, operates on the basis of the rich set of commands, which helps the IDE understand what needs to be done, and it allows the test developers to set breakpoints for the purpose of debugging particular test cases. And number 4, we are having the use of the multiple locators for each element in the IDE ensures out the successful execution. And moving forward with the limitations that we already saw today, right? So hope I'm very much clear with this particular regarding the Selenium IDE, limitations, benefits, advantages, and what it is used for, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. Okay, so now we'll be discussing about the Selenium RC in the details. So we'll be now checking out that what Selenium RC is, what is it actually architecture, what's the architecture of RC, what are the components which we are having here, and we will be seeing about the limitations. So all of are the things which that will be covering up here in the Selenium RC. Right, so let's get started up with the first of all understanding that what RC actually is. Okay, so I would take out a color here and yeah. Okay, so here goes Selenium RC. So for RC, I would first of all write the full form, that's the remote, and here we are having remote control. Fine. So RC stands for the remote control. So what is that project basically? What is this remote control completely based upon, and what are the things that we are having out here? So Selenium RC, that is the Selenium remote control. It is one of the main Selenium project that sustained for a very long time. Okay, before the Selenium WebDriver was before the Selenium WebDriver came into existence, this Selenium RC was one of the main Selenium project or Selenium suite of tools that sustained out for a very long time. Okay, let me mention of that as thing as well, because it's an important thing to be noted down and as well to be remembered. Okay, so here I would do that Selenium RC remote control was the main Selenium project that sustained for a long time before Selenium WebDriver came into existence. So Selenium RC, that's a remote control, was the main Selenium project that sustained for a long time before the Selenium WebDriver came into existence, right? Great. Okay. Now Selenium RC. Now Selenium RC is hardly in use. Okay, now basically the Selenium RC is very rarely used out. Reason for that? Now Selenium RC is hardly in use as WebDriver offers more powerful features. However, users can still continue to develop scripts using RC. Great. So Selenium RC is hardly in use nowadays. The reason for that because WebDriver has taken its place, and as well as WebDriver as well offers out more powerful features. So in that respective case, Selenium RC is right now hardly in use right now. Okay. Next. However, users can still continue to develop scripts using RC. It is not that case that RC is not available, right? RC is simply people have started using that less. But if basically a user wants and still want to continue to develop the scripts with the RC, so yes, absolutely, a user can develop up the scripts with the help of the Selenium RC. Right, there is no such case in like there's no right case that it's not allowed or anything like that. Okay. Great. Now, what does the Selenium RC helps us to do? Okay, what does it actually helps us to do? So that thing goes here that it allows to write automated web applications. It allows to write automated web applications application UI test UI test with the help of with the help of the programming languages, with the help of programming with the help of programming languages with the help of programming languages such as now, what are the programming languages that we are having out here? Such as we have Java, we have C hash, we have Perl, next we have Python, and then we have PHP. Fine. So these are the programming languages which it completely use how to develop their scripts. Okay. And what are the automated web applications and the UI tests are there. So these are the languages which it basically supports out, right? On which the cases and the tests are actually written out. Okay. And PHP to create more complex tests such as reading and writing files, comma. Next we are having querying a database, getting down here, such as reading and writing files, querying a database. Okay, one second, it's right here. Querying a database and emailing the test results, right? So it basically allows you to write out the automated web applications UI test with the help of programming languages such as Java, C#, Perl, Python and PHP to create more complex tests such as reading and writing files, querying a database and emailing the test results. Okay. So this is what is actually happening up here, and these are the respective things that are happening. Fine. Okay. Now, what is the Selenium RC architecture which we are having out here? So, okay, I would write that as well. So, Selenium RC works in such a way that the client libraries can communicate with the Selenium RC server. So the Selenium RC works in such a way that the client libraries can communicate with the Selenium RC server. Fine. So this is one another thing, that how basically the architecture of this is designed in such a way. Fine. Great. Can communicate with the Selenium RC server, and how does that do? It basically does that by one second. It does that out by passing each Selenium command, for execution. Fine. So this is how it actually completely works out, right? Hope I'm clear with the Selenium RC, that's how it works out. And what's the architecture, right? So we are left out with some things here regarding some two points regarding the RC, and then we are left out with the limitations and advantages. So that's what we'll be covering up in the next video, right? This is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So we were discussing about the Selenium RC, right? We had discussed about that respective thing in the previous video. So today also we'll be continuing up the same thing. I'll be taking you through this RC more in a little bit of detail. Okay. So great. Okay, we ended up here regarding that what's the architecture of the Selenium RC, right? We ended up at this respective place that what's the architecture of the Selenium RC, right? I'll be taking you forward from here only. So we discussed about that Selenium RC works in such a way that the client libraries can communicate with the Selenium RC server, passing each Selenium command for execution. Right, we discussed about that. The process of the Selenium RC, it works in such a way that what are the client libraries we are having, that client libraries can communicate with the Selenium RC server, okay, and passing each Selenium command for execution. So whatever the Selenium commands we are having, each Selenium command is passed on for the execution. So in that respective way, this is how the Selenium RC actually works out. Okay, now okay, next what we are having, then the server, after that what happens, then the server passes the Selenium, then the server then the server passes the Selenium RC server, then the server passes the Selenium RC command. One second. Oh, okay, where is that pen gone? One second, let me take that pen again. Okay. Then the server passes the Selenium RC command to the browser, using Selenium, Selenium core, JavaScript commands. Okay. So then after that, what happens after that? The server passes out the Selenium RC command to the browser using the Selenium core JavaScript commands. Okay, so this is what happens up here. This is how it actually works out, right? This is the complete architecture of the Selenium RC. Great. Okay, next basically what do we have out next thing here in this respective thing? So now we are having this the two parts of the Selenium RC. Okay, the Selenium RC which we are having out, that comes in respective two parts. So now let's discuss about that respective thing very quickly. So I would take out a new color here. Let's say okay, this one. Fine. So here goes that Selenium RC comes in. Selenium RC comes in two parts. Okay, the first one, the Selenium server launches. The Selenium server launches and kills browsers. Okay, what does this respective line means that Selenium server launches and kills browser? It means that it launches out the browser, and whenever it is not of use, it basically kills out that respective browser. In that way, you can say it stops out the work for that respective browser. Okay, this is what actually is meant out from this respective line, right? Great. Okay. Next, moving forward, we are having the other thing. Let's see that out. So in addition to that, it interprets and executes the command So in that case, in addition to that, it interprets out and executes out the command. Fine. Next it It also acts as an HTTP proxy by it also acts as an HTTP proxy by intercepting and verifying HTTP messages passed between the browser and the application under test fine. One second. Right here. So the Selenium RC comes in two parts. The very first part is how it works. The Selenium server launches and kills the browser. Then, in addition to that, it interprets and executes the command. It also acts as an HTTP proxy by intercepting and verifying HTTP messages passed between the browser and the application under test. Fine. So this is the first thing. Now, moving to the second, the client libraries that provide an interface between each one of the programming languages and the Selenium RC server. Fine. So the client libraries that provide an interface between each one of the programming languages and the Selenium RC server. So what are the programming languages to which we are referring out here? So those respective programming languages are I would say that those respective programming languages are Java, C#, then we have Perl, and we have Python, we have PHP. So these are the one second. The same ones which we have discussed above. Right here, where it has gone. Yeah, right here. I told you about some languages right here. So these are all the same languages which are mentioned downside as well. Fine. Let me go back to that place. Right. Okay. So these two are the respective things which we have out here in respect to the Selenium RC, and that comes in the two parts. Okay. One second. Right here. Right. One second. Okay, great. Okay, next what we are having? Next we are having some more things in regards to the Selenium RC only, so that I would okay. Right now we'll be taking up the detail of the Selenium RC, right? So detailed Selenium RC. So RC stands for remote control, was the main Selenium project that sustained for a long time after Selenium WebDriver. Okay, after one second, I just messed up something here. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is Selenium RC. Remote control was a main Selenium project that sustained for a long time before Selenium WebDriver came into existence. Now, Selenium RC is hardly in use as WebDriver offers more powerful features. However, users can still continue to develop up the scripts using the RC. It allows to write out the automated web applications UI test with the help of programming languages such as Java, C#, Perl, Python, and PHP to create more complex tests such as reading and writing files, querying out a database, and emailing the test results. Right? This is all what it is actually doing right now. Next, Selenium RC works in such a way that the client libraries can communicate with the Selenium RC server, passing each with Selenium command for execution. And the server passes the Selenium RC command to the browser using Selenium core JavaScript commands. So this is how the Selenium actually works, and this is what Selenium RC actually is right here, right? So hope I am very much clear with these things to you, that what is Selenium RC and how does it actually work. Now next we are left out with the architecture, a detailed architecture, that how it works and the limitations. So that we'll be discussing up in the next video. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. Okay, so we were studying about the Selenium architecture, right? We just saw in the previous video that what are the different things possible in the Selenium RC, and then secondly how the Selenium RC comes in the two parts. What are those two parts, right? Okay, we as well have had out a very little discussion regarding the Selenium architecture. Actually what it is said is that Selenium RC's architecture is actually proven to be the complicated. Okay, it is said that the architecture for the Selenium RC is actually complicated. Okay, so what actually could be the reason for the basically architecture of Selenium RC to be complicated? What could be some reasons? Okay, so let's discuss about first of all those reasons, right? So yeah, let's get started out. I would just quickly take out a new color so as we could begin out the writing of the respective things. Okay, right here, let's take this out, and okay, let's go ahead, and I would say that Selenium RC's architecture has been proven to be complicated, has been proven to be complicated for the following reasons. Right here goes reasons, right? So these are the reasons that why it has been proven to be I would say a complicated one. Fine. The very first we can go is that one needs to install and launch a separate application called that we call as Selenium RC server, Selenium RC server. So it means that one needs to install and launch out a separate application called Selenium RC server before running test scripts. Fine. So this is the reason that why it is said very first, and that why Selenium RC's architecture has been proven to be a complicated one. The very first reason that one needs to install and launch out a separate application called Selenium RC server before running that test script. Okay, this is what actually happens up here. Next, moving to the second point. The second point is that the RC server acts as a mediator. The RC server acts as a mediator between the browser and Selenium commands, Okay, so the RC server acts as a mediator between the browser and between the Selenium commands. Okay, so this is the second reason. Next, basically, there are some following operations which are performed behind the scenes when a test script is executed in the Selenium RC. There are some you would say operations as well which are performed behind the scenes before. Whenever a test script is getting executed, there are some operations which are performed behind the screen. Okay, Let's discuss about them as well here very quickly. 1 second. Fine. So let me get out some space right here. Fine, let's start out here. So the very first one is that the RC server injects a JavaScript program a JavaScript program known as Selenium core into the browser. So the RC server injects a JavaScript program known as Selenium core into the browser. Okay, this is the very first thing which we have, that some of the following operations are performed behind the scenes when a test script is executed in the Selenium RC. This is the very first thing. Okay, great. Moving towards the second, what we are having out. So here we are having that once the Selenium core program is injected, it starts receiving RECEIV. Oh, 1 second. Fine. Oh, how did it came back right here? 1 second. Okay, let me do Control Z right here. Okay, now I would do it. Once the Selenium core program is injected, it starts receiving out the instructions. It starts receiving the instructions. Here goes the instructions from the RC. So 1 second, from the RC server. So once the Selenium core program is injected, it starts receiving the instructions from the RC server. Based on the test script. So whatever the kind of test scripts are there, according to that, it starts receiving up the instructions from the RC server. Okay, great. Then test script, and then what happens that the Selenium core executes all these instructions from the RC server based on test scripts. Fine. So Selenium core executes all these instructions from the RC server based on the test scripts. Fine. So this is the next another thing what actually happens out here. Right, so hope I'm very much clear that you got out a very clear idea regarding that. First of all, that why the Selenium RC architecture has been proven to be the complicated one. And next, basically, I hope you have got out a very fair and a very clear idea regarding the operations which are performed behind the scenes. Right? Okay, so now we will be moving towards the towards the very last topic of this respective Selenium RC topic, and that is the limitations. So here goes the limitations of RC. Fine, limitations. Starting from the very first, I already told that it is having out a complicated architecture. TECTURE. Fine. So it is having out a complicated architecture. That respective thing I already mentioned up to you, right? Great. Point number 2, we are having that execution execution of test scripts is time consuming execution of test scripts is time consuming as Selenium RC uses JavaScript script. So execution of test script is time consuming as Selenium RC uses JavaScript commands uses JavaScript commands as instructions to the one second. Let me get down. Okay. Oh, I don't know what is happening right today here. Wherever I just put on the cursor, it takes it down. So I use the JavaScript commands as instructions to the browser. And what does this result in? This results in slow performance. Okay, so this is what actually happens out. This results in the slow performance, right? Great. Next, point number 3 we are having that APIs are less object oriented. ORIENTED, fine. So next point here goes like that the APIs are less object oriented, fine. And next, number 4 we are having that no support for headless HTML unit browsers. Okay, this is one of a kind of an invisible browser. So basically there is no support for this particular HTML unit browser. These are the advantages, but the above two are the very things which you need to keep in mind. One second, let me just take the cursor. Fine. The limitations were, first were complicated architecture, and second one was that execution of test scripts in time consuming as Selenium RC uses JavaScript commands as instructions to the browser. This results in the slow performance, right? So great. Hope I am very much clear with the Selenium RC, that what it is, basically how does it comes in two parts, what are two parts, then why and how the Selenium architecture has been proven to be the complicated one, and then what are the limitations of the RC, fine. So hope I'm very much clear with this particular thing. So I'll be stopping up here for now. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So today we're going to discuss about the Selenium WebDriver in detail. Okay, we already had out a overview, a little brief about the Selenium WebDriver in some of my previous videos, right? Now what we're following is that we were going with the details with each and every of the Selenium sort of tools. So we already covered about the IDE and RC. So today we'll be discussing about the WebDriver. Okay. Before moving forward with any of the things in the WebDriver, I just wanted to let you know that WebDriver is one of the very important, and I would say this WebDriver is one of the very used suite of tools which we have in Selenium. Okay, so I request you to please make sure that you study about this WebDriver in a very clear and a very careful manner. Okay, fine. Let's get started out here. Let me quickly take out a pen so as I could begin up the writing. Great. Let's first discuss about the Selenium WebDriver, that what it is actually. Okay, so I would start writing up here from here only. So Selenium WebDriver is the most component of Selenium tools suite. Okay, as I as well told you in the video starting that whatever the set of tools we are having here in the Selenium, in among all of those set of tools, this Selenium WebDriver is the most important one. Okay, great. Then okay, what was the latest release of Selenium? That's the 2.0. Okay, that is 2.0. Okay, now there's one actually important thing regarding that as well, so I will just write it out only. Fine. So the latest release, the latest release, that was Selenium 2.0. Let me get down here. One second. Great. The latest release Selenium 2.0 is integrated with WebDriver, is integrated with WebDriver API, is integrated with WebDriver API, which provides us simple and more concise programming interface, and a more concise programming interface. Here goes the interface. Great. So the latest release of Selenium, that was 2.0, that is actually integrated with the WebDriver API, which provides out a simple and more concise programming interface. Okay, integrated means that in that the latest release of the Selenium, in that the WebDriver automatically already comes with the Selenium. Okay, you have the WebDriver API in that, and that helps you to provide out a very simple and a more concise programming interface. This is the reason that why this latest release of Selenium is integrated with the WebDriver API. Okay, great. So this was the important things regarding the Selenium. That first of all, what it was like, why it is that much used nowadays. Secondly, that how does this WebDriver API helps in the integration with the Selenium. Right? These are the two things which are to be noted up here. Next we have some more things regarding the Selenium, this WebDriver as well. So let's get down and write up those things as well. See, as I also mentioned up in the very start, in the Selenium WebDriver is one of the most important component of the Selenium suite of tools. So I'll be covering up this WebDriver in the very much detail. Okay. So let's go ahead here, and here I will be again starting up with the Selenium. So Selenium WebDriver was first introduced. So the Selenium WebDriver was first introduced as a part of Selenium v2.0. Okay, previously Selenium WebDriver was very first introduced as a part of Selenium v2.0. Okay, this was the one thing. Okay. Okay, what is that initial version of Selenium? That is the Selenium like v2 contained. It was contained the IDE, it contained up the RC, and it contained up the Grid. Fine. Then as soon as the new versions of Selenium came, and they got more modified and more supportive in the way. Okay, so that was the thing. So now what happens completely in the WebDriver? Okay, what happens in the WebDriver? Let's say, so in WebDriver, the test scripts which you wrote, which a developer wrote out. So in WebDriver, the test scripts can be developed. Okay, so in WebDriver, test scripts can be developed using any of the supported, one second, get me down here. So in WebDriver, test scripts written can be developed using any of the supported languages actually. Any other supported programming language. So here in the Selenium WebDriver, what happens are the supports all of the programming languages, whatever you are aware of it basically supports all of them. Okay, so languages here, and okay, and can be run directly in most modern web browsers. So whatever the test scripts you write, first of all, those can be written in any of the supported programming languages which the WebDriver supports. And secondly, the test scripts which you have written, that actually run directly in the most modern web browsers. Great, so this is one of the, I would say, one of the advantage and one of the thing that why WebDriver is used a lot. So this is one of the reasons into that respective case. Okay. Now, if I talk about, we discussed about the RC. So I told you that the architecture, the framework of RC is very difficult, right? Because you need out a separate thing to be installed for dealing up the test cases with the Selenium RC, right? But in WebDrivers, it was not the case, right? So here in the WebDrivers, you do not need out any separate platform or any separate IDE for running up your test scripts. So whatever the test scripts you have written, you could simply run them directly in the web browsers. Okay, so hope I'm very much clear with that. Great. Okay, the languages which are supported, let me let you know that programming languages as well which are supported. So languages supported, let me get down here. Languages supported are, you have C#, you have right here C#, you have Java, Perl, Python, Ruby, PHP. So these are the different languages which are supported by the Selenium WebDriver frame. Great. So hope I'm very much clear with these things which I told you about the Selenium WebDriver. So let me get back to above ones and let me revise up the things a little bit. So first of all, this is WebDriver is one of the most important components of the Selenium suite of tools, right? It is one of the most important component. So the latest release of Selenium which is there, so in that the WebDriver API comes integrated. Okay, and what does that do? It helps to basically provide out a simple and more concise programming interface. Okay, now in WebDriver, whatever test scripts you write down, those can be developed using any of the programming languages and that can be run directly in the most modern web browsers. Okay, so the languages which are supported by you is the languages which are supported by the WebDriver are C#, Java, Perl, Ruby, Python, PHP. So these are the languages which are supported by the WebDriver. Great. So hope you got out a very I would say a very basic idea regarding the WebDriver. First of all, that's why it is used out, and secondly, when was WebDriver introduced, which programming languages it actually supports, and how to run the test scripts onto the WebDriver, right? Now further we are having many other things which are the most commonly used web drivers which are right now used, and all those things we are having. So that we will be discussing up in the next video, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So let's get started with the proceeding of the discussion of the different architecture which we have here in the Selenium WebDriver. So in the previous video, I told you about some names of the architecture components which we have in the Selenium WebDriver, right? So today we'll be discussing them in that detail, that what are those and what are those completely used for. Okay. Let me get down here and get out some space, and even let me just quickly change out some color here as well. Great. Let's get started. So the very first one, I'll be starting off with the Selenium. One second, let me take the cursor in hand. Okay, the first one we discuss Selenium language binding. So that's what I'll be writing up here. Selenium language bindings. Okay. Okay, and what is this as well called out? It is called as Selenium It is as well called as Selenium client libraries. Selenium client libraries. Okay, it is as well called up this particular thing. Fine. So this Selenium developers have built a language binding, have built a language binding, have built out a language binding, or we call that a Selenium client libraries, or Selenium client libraries. So the Selenium developers have built out a language binding or Selenium client libraries. In order, what's the use of building that? So in order to support multiple languages. So the developers who were basically building up this WebDriver, so in that they have kept up the Selenium client library, so you call as language binding. So the reason for keeping that language binding was that in order to support up the multiple languages, this binding was actually used out, right? Hope I'm very much clear with that respective thing. Next, so for instance, okay, so here goes that for instance, if you want to use the browser driver, if you want to use the browser driver, if you want to use up the browser driver in Java, then use the Java bindings, comma, use the Java. Let me get down here, get out some space. For instance, if you want to use the browser driver in Java, use the Java bindings. Where goes the bindings? So as it is supported by all of the programming languages, so whatever the language you want to use out, you could use that in the Java, and with that relevant, you could use the driver of it. Fine. Now, all the supported languages, all the supported languages, or all the supported languages bindings can be downloaded, from the official websites. So whatever the bindings you are having, whatever the supported languages you are having, and if you just want to download out the bindings for that, because you really need to download that time like simultaneously, okay? It doesn't come up pre-installed or anything like that, right? You need to download up the relevant supported language bindings which you want to use out, and then you could absolutely use that out. So you could get out that respective thing from the official website of the Selenium. You could go and find that out there, okay? Great. Hope I am very much clear with the very first one, that's the Selenium language bindings or the Selenium client libraries. Next, we were having the JSON wire protocol. Let's now discuss about the JSON wire protocol. That's what it is actually. So here goes the JSON wire, and here is the protocol. Okay, JSON wire protocol. Now, what does this JSON first of all stands for? Right, since a long time I am saying JSON and JSON again and again. So what does that actually stand for? So it stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Okay, make sure you remember the full form as well. It's the JavaScript Object Notation. Fine. So here goes that JSON is an open standard. JSON is an open standard for exchanging. JSON is an open standard for exchanging data, on web. Okay, so it is first of all the open standard for exchanging of the data onto the web. Okay, now what it supports? So it supports So it supports the data structure, it supports data structures like, it supports the data structures like object and array. Like object and array. Okay. So it supports of the data structures like the object and the array. So in that case, it is said, we can say that it is easy to write. So it is easy to write and read data from JSON. Okay, let me just get down here for some space, and I would explain what I'm writing. First of all, we discussed that JSON is an open standard for exchanging data onto the web. That is used out. That's completely okay. Now, what does it support? So it supports up the data structures like the objects and the arrays. So this JSON thing supports up the data structures like the object and the arrays. Now, it is very easy to write and read the data from the JSON. So it's very much easy to write and read the data from the JSON. Right? So I'm clear. Right, that is completely okay. Next is that basically JSON. Now we have to, if you just want to go ahead with this JSON thing, so you could just simply go on to the official website of the JSON, and they will be getting up the respective things regarding that. Okay, that's not such a big deal in that respective case. Okay. What does this JSON wire protocol actually gives us? That why it is used. So that let's discuss out here. Oh, where is that pen gone? Right here. Okay. So the JSON wire protocol provides a transport mechanism to transfer data between a server and client JSON. Okay, between the client. So the JSON wire protocol provides out a transport mechanism to transfer up the data between the server and the client. This is the main use of the JSON wire protocol. That's why it is basically a part of the WebDriver architecture. So in that case, it is simply used to transfer up the data between a server and the client. So in that respective case, the JSON wire protocol is completely used out, right? So I would not mention up. Okay, where has that gone? This is not the thing which I need to really write up here. Okay. So I'm so sorry. 1 second. Here goes the client. Right. So hope I'm clear with this perspective as well regarding this JSON. This JSON wire protocol. That what is the use of this? So now, if I talk about both of them, if I talk about first one, Selenium language bindings, that is as well called as Selenium client libraries. So the Selenium developers have built out a language binding or a Selenium client libraries in order to support up the multiple language. For instance, if you want to use the browser driver in Java, then use the Java bindings. All the supported languages bindings can be downloaded from the official website. That's okay, right? Now, if I talk about the JSON wire protocol. So JSON is an open standard for exchanging the data onto the web. It supports the data structures like object and arrays. So it is easy to read and write data from JSON. That's okay. What about the JSON wire protocol in detail? So it is a kind of JSON wire protocol provides up a transport mechanism to transfer the data between a server and a client. Right? So hope I'm very much clear with these things to you that what are these architectures for? What are they actually used for? Right? Next, we'll be dealing with the rest of the two remaining drivers. That was browser driver, and it was one more thing was the real browsers. Right? We'll be discussing about them in the next video. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone. My name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So we were discussing about in detail regarding the components of the Selenium architecture, right? Selenium, we were having four architectures, that was Selenium language bindings, JSON wire protocol, browser drivers, and the real browsers. Now, the previous 1 and 2 were discussed in the previous video. Now we'll be moving ahead with the browser drivers today. That what are these browser drivers and how are they actually used out, right? So quickly let me get out a color and let's start our writing here. So next I am having here the browser drivers. Next topic of mine, right? Browser drivers. Okay. So the Selenium uses one second. Selenium uses drivers. Selenium uses drivers specific to each browser, specific to each browser in order to establish a secure connection, in order to establish out a secure connection with the browser, without revealing the internal logic of, let me get out some space, internal logic of browsers, where that gone, right here, internal logic of browsers functionality. So here goes the functionality. Great. Now let's discuss about the browser drivers. That what are these browser drivers? So excuse me. The Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser in order to establish out a secure connection. Why we use out these browser drivers and why are the drivers actually specifically used out there? So Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser, specifically for each and every browser. Selenium uses of the drivers which are used for establishing out a secure connection with the browser without revealing the internal logic of browser's functionality. First of all, it helps you to establish out a secure connection with the browser. Okay. Secondly, it helps you to secure the connection with the browser without revealing out any of the internal logic of the browser's functionality. Okay, so this is the third component, that's a browser driver. So this is why it is actually used. Okay, now this is as well as like programming language specification, it as well as having. So let's write that out. So the browser, the browsers, one second, not a browser, the browser driver is also, the browser driver is also specific to the language used for automation, such as C#, Java, Python, etc. Right? So the browser driver is also specific to the languages which are used for automation, such as the C#, Java, Python, etc. What are the languages we have read above about Perl, Ruby, PHP? So those same languages are also mentioned up here only. Okay, so I haven't written up all of those. Great. So this is about this particular browser drivers. Now we are having one more thing in this, whenever basically a test is executed, or basically a test script is actually executed using the WebDriver, so there are certain operations which are actually performed out. Okay, so there are certain operations which are performed out. Like, what are those operations? Like the HTTP request is generated and it is sent to the browser driver. Okay, for the Selenium commands, first of all, the HTTP request is generated. Let me write that as well. HTTP request is generated, right? HTTP request is generated and it is sent to the browser driver for each of the Selenium command. Fine. Then the driver receives of that HTTP request through the HTTP server. So next goes that request is received through request is received through HTTP server. Request is received through the HTTP server. Fine. So then what happens at the HTTP server? That HTTP server actually decides that what are the steps to perform, which are mentioned in the instructions and which are executed on the browser. So what all the steps are to be executed here to perform of the instructions which are executed in the browser. So that respective thing is actually calculated out. Let me get down and write that as well. Right here goes the part number 3. So after this, the HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed on browser, which are executed on browser. So the HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed onto the browser. Okay. Next number 4. At number 4, what happens? So after that, basically whatever the things have to be done by the HTTP server, that are done and sent back for the, and that is respectively sent out for the automation script. Everything is being checked up and everything is executed, and after that it is, I would write that out here, that sent back to automation. Then that respective thing is sent back to the automation script. So this is a complete procedure about the things that how when we basically execute out a test script. So what are the following operations that are performed in executing of the test scripts, right? Now, what are the browsers which are supported by the Selenium WebDriver? So those are Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome and the Safari. So these are the 4 browsers which are supported up by the Selenium WebDriver, right? So hope I am clear with that. Let me quickly give you an idea of whatever we discussed up today regarding this. So we have discussed about the browser drivers here, that Selenium uses of the drivers which are specific to each browser in order to establish out a secure connection with the browser without revealing the internal logic of the browser's functionality, right? Then the browser driver is also specific to the language which is used for the automation, such as C#, Java, Python. Then how we see the test scripts are executed. So first of all, the HTTP request is generated, then the request is received through the HTTP server. Then HTTP server decides all the steps to perform instructions which are executed on browser, and then it is sent back to the automation script. So this is how the complete procedure works up here, right? So hope I'm very much clear with that respective thing. And the browsers which are supported by the WebDriver are Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer and the Safari. Right. So now we are left out with the very last topic in the WebDriver, and that's the features of the Selenium WebDriver, and that's what we'll be discussing up in the next video. So hope I'm very much clear regarding whatever I taught you today. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So Now we'll be discussing about the features of the Selenium WebDriver, right? So on to the previous, we have discussed about the many things regarding the Selenium WebDrivers only. Now today we'll be discussing of the features. So let me quickly put on the heading so that we could proceed on with the writing of the things. So here goes the features of Selenium, features of Selenium, and here goes the WebDriver. Okay, so we'll be discussing about the features of the Selenium WebDriver. Great. Okay, I'll be starting out with the very first feature for the Selenium WebDriver, and that is multiple browser support. Let me remove this out from here. It's the multiple browser support. Okay, multiple browser support. See, from the very starting, when we started learning about the Selenium WebDriver, we learned about that Selenium is one of a WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver is one of the suite of tools which has a multiple browser support. Right? It works with many of the browsers. You take Google Chrome, you take Mozilla Firefox, you take Internet Explorer, you take Safari. So it supports all of these different browsers. So in that case, we could simply say that Selenium WebDriver it supports out the multiple browsers, right? So in that case, this is one of the important features of the Selenium WebDriver. Next, moving toward the second feature, we have multiple languages support. Second is multiple languages support. Second is a multiple languages support. So now it goes that Selenium WebDriver as well has a feature for multiple languages support. Okay, multiple languages like multiple languages. I'm referring to multiple programming languages actually. It supports out the Python, Java, you have C#, you have Perl, Ruby, PHP. All of these are the different programming languages which are supported by the Selenium WebDriver. So in that case, we say that next feature for the Selenium WebDriver is that it supports up the multiple languages, right? Multiple languages support. Next, we are having up the speed. Okay, we are talking about the speed. So for the speed, we are having that WebDriver actually it performs faster as compared to the other tools of Selenium suite. Okay, so other tools of Selenium suite it basically performs faster rather than the other. We have already compared it into the RC and the WebDriver, that which is the fastest using tool in the RC or in the WebDriver. So we found out that WebDriver works more faster than the RC. Right, we already discovered up this respective thing in somewhat second or third video. So in that particular case, this performs the faster operations rather than the other Selenium suite of tools. Okay, so it as well doesn't require out any intermediate server as well to communicate up with the browser. Rather than other tools, it directly communicates with the browser. Other needs up a server to communicate, right? But it doesn't need that out. So in that case, we can say that it is the fastest among the other Selenium suite of tools. Fine. Next we are having as simple commands. Simple commands. Okay, simple commands. So most of the commands which are used in Selenium WebDriver are completely easy to implement. Okay, let's say you launch out a browser in WebDriver. So in that case, you have some different types of commands and that are simply used. Simply for launching of the web browser, you have a very simple command that's completely used out. So in that case, we see that most of the commands which are used up in the Selenium WebDriver, those are very easy to implement. Okay. Let's say I would let you know some of the commands here for the Selenium as well. So let's say that whenever you are wanting to launch out a browser in WebDriver, so there are some following commands which are used out. So the first one is the WebDriver, and here go WebDriver driver. Okay, this is the one which is equal to new Firefox driver and the brackets. So this command is used for the Firefox driver. Okay. Next again we'll be having the WebDriver. Here goes the driver, and that is equal to new and that is equal to new Chrome driver. That is equal to new Chrome. One second, I would write that clearly. That is equal to new Chrome driver. So this is the command which is used for accessing up the Chrome drivers, right? For the browser, which is Chrome browser. Next, let's say you have Internet Explorer. So in that case, again the same thing goes. Here goes the WebDriver, and then here goes the driver, which is equal to, here goes the new, and here goes the Internet Explorer, and here goes the driver. Okay, and the brackets like this. Right, so this is how this is as well used out for the different three types of browsers: Firefox, Chrome, and the Internet Explorer. Fine. Next we're having up here the point number 5 regarding that, and that is the WebDriver methods and classes. So here goes the WebDriver methods and classes. So what we meant from here, so the WebDriver provides up the multiple solutions to cope up with some of the potential challenges which are in the automation testing. So in the automation testing, whatever the challenges are there, this WebDriver provides us with the multiple solutions to overcome that respective challenges which we have in the WebDrivers. Okay. Next is WebDriver. It also allows the testers to deal with the complex type of the web elements, okay, such as you have checkboxes, you have drop down menus. So in that respective case, it as well allows the testers to deal with all of those respective things, right? So hope I'm very much clear with all of these features which I mentioned up here in regards to the Selenium WebDriver. Right now, I'll be giving you a very clear and a very complete overview regarding the WebDriver, whatever we have understood here from the starting and up till this particular point. First of all, we understood that this WebDriver is one of the most important Selenium suite of tools. It is one of the most important component of the Selenium suite of tools, right? So, latest release was Selenium 2.0. Okay, and that is integrated with a WebDriver API, which provides up a simple and more concise programming interface. Okay, then Selenium WebDriver first introduced a part of Selenium v.0. Right, in WebDriver, test scripts can be developed using any of the supported programming languages and can run directly in most modern web browsers. So you could run up the test cases here, test scripts in any of the modern web browsers, right? The languages which are supported are C#, Java, Python, Perl, HTML, PHP, Ruby, all of these are there, okay? Next, Selenium WebDriver performs much faster than RC because it makes a direct call to the web browser. RC on the other hand needs a RC server to interact up with the browser, fine? Then the most commonly used web drivers are Google Chrome driver, Opera driver, Safari driver, Internet Explorer driver, and HTML unit driver. Then Selenium WebDriver architecture. What is the architecture, or what are the things which you have here in the architecture of Selenium WebDriver? So it provides Selenium WebDriver API provides up the communication facility between the languages and between the browsers. So the components which you are having in the WebDriver architecture are Selenium language bindings, JSON wire protocol, browser drivers, and the real browsers. The Selenium language bindings, Selenium client libraries, Selenium developers have built out a language binding Selenium client libraries in order to support multiple languages. For instance, if you want to use, okay, in that case, you could just, for the supported languages bindings, you could download the official website, okay? You could download that from the official one. Next, about the JSON wire protocol, what we studied first of all regarding the JSON, that what it is. So it is an open standard for exchanging data on web. Okay, it supports up the data structures like you are having objects and arrays. So we can say that it is easy to write and read data from the JSON. Okay, JSON wire protocol provides out a transport mechanism to transfer data between a server and a client. Okay, next. Regarding the browser drivers, so Selenium uses drivers specific to each browser in order to establish a secure connection with the browser without revealing the internal logic of browser functionality. Okay, the browser driver is also specific to the language which is used for the automation such as C#, Java, Python, etc. Fine. Then we learned about that what's the method in which these scripts work. So first of all, the HTTP request is generated in that regards. Next, request is received through the HTTP server. So through the HTTP server, the request is received. Then HTTP server decides all the steps which are to be performed in instructions which are executed onto the browser. And then it is sent back to the automation script. The features of Selenium WebDriver are multiple browser support, multiple languages support, speed, simple commands, and the WebDriver methods and classes. Right. So hope I am very much clear with all of the things regarding the WebDriver, its architecture, its uses, how it is used, its features, and the detail about the architecture components and everything. Right. So here we'll be finishing up the WebDriver. In the next video we'll be seeing about the next suite of tools. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So we were discussing about all of the Selenium suite of tools in very much detail, right? So today what we'll be doing is that we'll be discussing about the Selenium Grid. So previously we had already discussed about the IDE, about the RC, and even about the WebDriver. So today we are going to discuss about the last Selenium suite of tool, and that's the Grid. Okay. Let's get started out here. So first of all, I'll be discussing about this grid, that what it is used for. Then we'll be discussing up the architecture, and we'll be discussing up the features. Okay, this is how we'll be proceeding on. So I will take up this color. Let's get started out here. Okay. So if I talk about the Selenium, so Selenium Grid. If I talk about the Selenium Grid, so Selenium Grid is a feature, Selenium Grid is a feature in Selenium. Selenium Grid is a feature in Selenium that allows you to run test cases in different machines. One second, let me get down here. So Selenium Grid is a feature in Selenium that allows you to run test cases in different machines across different platforms. Across different platforms. Right? So it is one of the features in the Selenium that allows you to run out the different test cases in different machines across different platforms. So it as well supports out different types of platforms as well. Okay. So the control of triggering the test case, is on the local machine. So the control of triggering the test cases is on the local machine. Okay, so basically on the local machine the test cases actually run out, and when the test cases are triggered, they are, let me get down here, one second. And when the test cases are triggered, they are automatically executed. They are automatically executed by the remote machine. Okay. So Selenium Grid is a feature in Selenium that allows you to run the test cases in different machines across different platforms. The control of triggering the test cases is on the local machine, and when the test cases are triggered, they are automatically executed by the remote machine. So this is the procedure. Actually, this is how the Selenium Grid works out. Okay. Now let's take a quick example in that relevant case. Suppose you have Suppose you have 5 test cases. Suppose you have 5 test cases, okay? Your local machine is running multiple applications. Your local machine is running multiple applications. Fine. So you want to run your your test cases. In a remote machine. Then in that case you need to configure. In that respective case, you need to configure the remote server, configure the remote server so that the test, one second, let me get down. You need to configure the remote server so that the test cases can be executed there. Okay. So this is how this grid actually works out. First of all, it's a little bit of other things. So I would explain once again. So Selenium Grid is a feature in Selenium that allows you to run test cases in different machines. The very first one, which allows you to run the test case in different machines across the different platforms. Okay. Then the control of triggering the test cases is on the local machine. And when the test cases are triggered, they are automatically executed by the remote machine. So first of all, this is how the Selenium Grid actually works out. This is the procedure how it works out. Okay. Next, suppose you are having out 5 test cases. Okay. Your local machine is running multiple apps. Okay, you are having multiple apps running on your local machine. So what you want is that you want to run your test case in a remote machine. You need to configure the remote server so that the test cases can be executed. So this is how the Selenium Grid actually works out. Okay, next, what is there, that what it supports? So it supports distributed test execution. It supports distributed test execution. Okay, put a full stop. Initially you have a local machine. Where you write the test cases, and one second, let me get down. So it supports up the distributed test execution. Initially you have a local machine there where you write up the test cases and executes on the same machine. So now what, however, in a big organization, what happens out there? So however, in a big organization, you have what do you have? You have multiple test cases. You have multiple test cases. Okay, in the big organizations, you have multiple test cases, and it's not possible to run all the test cases and it's not possible to run all the test cases in the same machine. Okay. So, however, in a big organization, you have multiple test cases, right? So, whenever we are having a big organization, so in that you have to apply out the multiple test cases, right? And it's not possible to run all the test cases in the same machine. It would be not at all possible to run out all the test cases in the same machine. So, what happens that? So, in that case, what you have, so in a large organization, in a large organization, you have multiple servers. So local machine distribute. So local machine distributes the test cases, across different machines, or you say as server. Okay. So in that relevant case, this is how the Selenium Grid actually works out. So now let's say you are having out an organization, a company, and in that you have multiple test cases to run out. So in that case, it won't be possible for you to run out all of those test cases in one single and same machine. So what happens in the large organizations? So in the large organizations, you have multiple servers, so that the local machine distributes the test cases across different machines and the servers, and then your work becomes easy. And this is how it actually works about whenever you are having some large organization and you have to run out the multiple test cases, right? Hope I'm clear with that. Now let's discuss about the architecture of Grid. Let's talk about the Selenium architecture of the Selenium Grid. So in the architecture of Selenium Grid, you have two important things. First is the hub and second is the node. You have two important things here, hub and the node. So what are these in respect to, and what are these actually? That let's see in a very brief way that what are these. So you could see that hub is a central point that receives all of the test requests. Okay, hub is you could say it is a central point that receives all of the test requests. And what about the node? So for node, you could see that it is one of the Selenium instance which will execute the test cases which are loaded onto your hub. Okay, this is okay. I just said that I will be giving you a very brief intro about the hub and the node. So for the detail, we'll be watching up that in the detail in the next video. So if I talk about the Selenium Grid, so Selenium Grid is a feature in the Selenium that allows you to run up the test cases in the different machines across right here, great, across the different platforms. So the control of triggering the test cases is on the local machine, and when the test cases are triggered, they are automatically executed by the remote machines. Okay. Next we just took out an example that suppose you have 5 test cases. I'm so sorry. Great. So suppose we have 5 test cases. So your local machine is running multiple apps. So in that case, you want to run your test cases in a remote machine. So what you need to do is that you need to configure up the remote servers so that the test cases can be executed at that particular place, right? So this is how the grid actually works, and this is what the grid completely works about and about the architecture of grid. Now we'll be seeing about the detailed architecture of grid in the next video. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So in the previous video, we discussed about the Selenium Grid, that what it is and how it actually works. Now we'll be going ahead with the architecture of the grid and with the features of the Selenium Grid. Okay. So for the architecture, we already discussed that we have two things here. The first one is the hub and the second one is the node. So what do we meant from hub and what do we meant from node? Let's discuss out that. So I'll be starting up here from the term that's hub. So what it is, So it is a central point. It is a central point in a local machine. It is a central point in a local machine that receives all the test requests REQU are here. Fine. So it is a central point in a local machine that receives all the test requests and distributes them to the right nodes Okay, so hub is called as a central point in a local machine that receives up all the test requests and it distributes them to the right nodes. Whatever are the correct nodes, it distributes them to those respective nodes. Okay, so this machine which actually triggers the test cases are called as a hub. If I say in very simple language, so I can see that the machine which actually triggers up the test cases is known as a hub. Okay, great. Next very important point here is that right here. So there can be only one hub in a Selenium grid. Okay, so in a Selenium grid, there can be only one single hub. Please make sure you remember this respective thing because it's one of the very important things. Okay, in a Selenium grid, you could simply have only one hub. Okay. Next point. Next point is that the machine which is containing the hub triggers the test case. Let me get down here. So the machine which is containing the hub, it triggers up the test case, but you will see the browser being automated, on the other machines. So the machine which is containing the hub, it triggers a test case, but you will see the browser being automated onto the other machines. So this is how it actually works out. This is how this hub means and this is how it actually works about. Okay. Now if I talk about the nodes, that what are the nodes? So let's get down here, get out some space and let's start writing about the nodes. Nodes, fine. So what are nodes? So it is one second right here. So it is the Selenium instances. It is the Selenium instances which will execute the test cases that you loaded on the hub. So nodes can be launched on the multiple machines. Nodes can be launched on the multiple machines with different platforms /browsers. Okay, so this is how the nodes actually works. It is the Selenium instances which will execute the test cases that you loaded on the hub. So nodes can be launched on the multiple machines with different platforms / browsers. Okay, so this is how the node as well works out. Now, why Selenium Grid means that? What are the features of the Selenium Grid? So I would mention that heading only right here. Features of Selenium Grid. Okay, so the very first feature is that it runs on different platforms. It runs on the different platforms. So you could run on the test cases on the different platforms. So it is a platform. Let's say you have out an example here. Okay, it is a platform independent. Let's say we take out an example that you have a hub. Okay, and which has, let's say, Internet Explorer 9. Okay, now hub has Internet Explorer 9, as many older websites supports Internet Explorer 9. So let's say you are having Internet Explorer 9 only. Now you want to run on the test cases in different platforms such as Internet Explorer, let's say. Okay, so as we know that only one of the version of the browser can be installed on a computer. So in that case, you need to configure the node for which you want to send your test cases. So this is how this completely actually works out. Okay, Selenium Grid is useful because first of all it runs onto the different platforms. Second goes about the parallel execution. So if I talk about the parallel execution, so in that perspective, it say that, let's say if you set up the Selenium Grid, okay, so you can actually run up the multiple test cases at the same time. So this saves time in running of the test suites. Okay, so this is about the parallel execution actually. So first of all, the very first feature of the Selenium Grid is that it runs onto different platforms, and second is about the parallel execution. Fine. So hope I'm very much clear with these things to you about the Selenium Grid actually, that what is it, how is it used, what are the features of the Selenium Grid. Now let's say one thing is regarding the nodes. Let me tell you that as well. So let's say when you are, let's say, configuring up the nodes, so you're running the test cases in the different platforms, right? You run up the test cases in the different platforms. So there is no rule that if your hub is running in the test case in Windows, then all the nodes must be executing. So the test case in the Windows only. Okay, the nodes which can have different platforms such as Safari on Mac, Firefox on Ubuntu, and Internet Explorer on WinXP, and like this you have many more things there, many different platforms there as well on which you could run up the Selenium Grid test cases. Fine. So it is one of, so hope you got out a very clear idea regarding that what is a hub, what is a node, and what are the features of the Selenium Grid, and what is the Selenium Grid actually. Right here, so I hope that you basically got out a very clear idea regarding all of these suite of tools which we have here in the Selenium library, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So previously we have discussed about the IDE, the RC, the WebDriver and the Grid. We have discussed about all of them in very much detail, right? So now what we'll be doing is that we'll be comparing between the different sort of tools, and we'll be going through and understanding about the differences between those sort of tools. Right, so today for what topic I have taken regarding a difference, so that's between the Selenium RC and the Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so we'll be discussing up the difference between these two suite of tools. Okay, so what I'll be doing is that let me quickly take out a color here and make a separate line in between so that we can compare both of them at a single time. Right, so let me just go down a little bit more. Yeah, that's okay, I guess, right? Great. So here we'll be putting up the heading for today. So at this particular position, I'll be mentioning of, let's say, my Selenium RC. So here goes my Selenium and here goes my RC. Okay, and this respective side we are having Selenium, and here I am having WebDriver. And this is the WebDriver. Okay. So now what I'll be doing is that I'll be taking you through further with the differences between both of these, right? So let's discuss up the very first for the RC first of all. So as we already had discussed about the RC and WebDriver already in very much detail in the previous videos. So the very first difference in the RC and WebDriver is that Selenium RC, I would simply write RC only, okay? I would just not write out Selenium again and again. So RC is a weak API. Okay, so RC is a weak API. What about the WebDriver? So in that case, if we talk about the WebDriver, so WebDriver is okay. 1 second. So here we could mention of that WebDriver is a. Here we have the strong, and this is the API. Okay, so RC is a weak API and WebDriver is a strong API. This is regarding the RC and the WebDriver. Okay. Next, moving towards the second position, we have about the management of the test suites. Okay, before that management of the test suites, let's discuss about the other thing. So, whenever you are working with the Selenium RC, so in that respective, you need outer. In that respective case, you need outer server. Right, so I could just mention of that particular thing that need to start RC server. In this respective, we could discuss about this. And here for the second one, we can discuss that no need to start any server. So for the RC as well, we already discussed up that whenever you are working up with the Selenium RC, so in that case separately you need outer server and that respective server has to be started, right? That's the complete idea. But if we talk about the WebDriver, so in respective to the WebDriver, we do not need out any server or anything like that. Okay, it simply works out without any server. Fine. So this is the very second difference between the RC and the WebDriver. Now moving forward, if I talk about now here in the RC, what do you need? You need to use the uses command line prompt. Uses command line prompt. So here in the RC, if we talk about, so RC uses of the command line prompt, and here if I talk about the WebDriver, so in the WebDriver it is no usage of command line, prompt. Okay, so here usage of command line prompt, and on the other side it start the no usage of command line prompt. So both of the things are here in respect to the RC and in respect to the WebDriver. Next difference in between the RC and the WebDriver is that here in the RC it is somewhat we say that bad report generation. It means that it generates out a somewhat bad report. Doesn't mean that the wrong or false report, but it doesn't contain up the technical and managerial report. So in that case, we can say that it is a bad report generation. Right now, if I talk about this next thing here regarding the WebDriver, so in that case, I could simply mention out that can generate the technical and managerial reports. So here we come with the report. So in the RC we have the bad report generation, and in the WebDriver we have that it can generate up the technical and managerial report. Okay, so this is how it actually goes out here. Then moving towards the number 5th, what are we having? Now, as we already discussed about the command line bad report, we had already seen. Now, what we can do here is that it cannot run the, see in the Selenium RC I'm writing that it cannot run the Selenium, it cannot run the Selenium WebDriver report. Okay, this Selenium RC cannot run up the Selenium WebDriver reports, but Selenium WebDriver can run. So here I could write that can run Selenium RC scripts. Can run Selenium RC scripts. Okay. So it can't run out the Selenium WebDriver report and it can run out the Selenium RC script. Okay, this is the next difference between both of these, RC and the WebDriver. Okay, one second, let me make the line a little bit more larger here. Fine. And let me get up 1 second. Great. So, okay, point number 5 has been completed. Now moving towards the point number 6. So the 6 could be that Selenium RC is a command specific usage. Command specific usage. Okay, so here in the Selenium RC, what do we have? We have the command specific usage. But on to the other side, for the WebDriver, what do we have? We have no command. We have no command used. Okay, we have no command used. So for the RC, we have that it is command specific usage, and for the WebDriver, we have that it is no command used. Fine. Next we will be discussing about the point number 7. 7 is that misfires RC server most of the times. So into the Selenium RC, what happened? That it misfires the RC server many of the times, most of the times actually. Okay, but here what happens in the next case? In the next case, it happens that it can okay, no server. It has no server is used actually here. So no server. 1 second. Let me take up the eraser for a short while. So yeah. Next, let me get back to the same color. Fine. No server. No misfires. No server, no misfires. See, the RC uses up the server, right? So in that case, it misfires the RC server most of the time. But what happens in the WebDriver? WebDriver doesn't use out any of the servers, so it doesn't misfires as well, right? So these are the two things which you are having out here. Great. So, okay, these 7 differences are being mentioned by me right here. 1 second, let's discuss about one more here. 1 second, I just need to check, did I discuss that out? No. Next difference is difference number 8. So, in this basically, for the Selenium RC, there is no support for third party. There is no support for third-party API and software. There is no support for third-party API and software. Okay, there is no such support for the third-party API and for the third-party software. But here it supports. Third-party API. Here it supports third-party. 1 second. Here it supports third-party API. It supports third-party API and the software as well. And here goes the software. So now let's discuss up all of the differences regarding this RC and WebDriver, which we have written up here. So in the RC is a weak API. Rather than if I compare the same thing onto the WebDriver, so WebDriver is a strong API. Next is that need to start RC server. But in Selenium RC, we need to start up the RC server. But in the Selenium WebDriver, no need to start any of the server. Fine. Next in RC, we have that it uses the command line prompt. Okay. And in the WebDriver, no usage of the command line prompt. For the RC, it is bad report generation, and for the WebDriver, it can generate the technical and managerial report. Then for RC, it cannot run the Selenium WebDriver report, and for WebDriver, it can run Selenium RC scripts. For RC, it is command-specific usage, and for WebDriver, it is no command used. For RC, it is misfires RC server most of the times. For WebDriver, it is no server, no misfires. For RC, it is no support for third-party API and software, and for the WebDriver, it is that it supports the third-party API and software, right? So hope you got up the differences between the RC and the WebDriver. What are the differences between the RC and between the WebDriver, and how are these actually comparable with each other, right? So hope I'm very much clear with all of the differences which I have mentioned up here, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. We already discussed about the 4 suite of tools in very much detail regarding what are these tools about and what are the things we are having out there, and all the things are really discussed in very much detail in the previous videos, right? So today what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take up the difference between the IDE, between the RC and between the WebDriver. Today we are going to compare all of these three, and according to that only we are going to see that what's the difference between these 3 suite of tools. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna begin here today, right? So let's get started with the things for now. Great. So first of all, I'll be mentioning of the very first difference regarding the IDE, RC and the WebDriver. Okay, so the very first difference is that IDE, it's an add-on that is only supported. It's an add-on that is only supported by the Firefox browser, by the Firefox browser. Okay, so IDE, it is an add-on that is only supported by the Firefox browser. Okay, this is the first respective thing which you are having out for this IDE. Okay, next, if I talk about the RC, so what's an RC? So I would write that it's an API. It's an API which supports. It's an API which supports Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, and many more. Okay, and etc. So RC is an API which supports the Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, and etc. Okay. And next, if I talk about the WebDriver, so WebDriver is that it works with every browser. It works with every browser like Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Opera, etc. OPERA, that's like this only, fine. So WebDriver is the one. WebDriver is another suite of tool. It works with every browser like Firefox and all the browsers whichever you are having out, right? So this is the very basic difference between the IDE, RC, and WebDriver. That what are the respective browsers which they actually support out, right? So I hope that very first one is very much clear for very first difference. Okay. Now next, moving toward the second is that, okay, in completely IDE, what happens in IDE? It happens that it brings one of the most valuable record and playback feature. Okay, so in IDE, what is there? It has one of the most valuable records and the playback feature. Fine. Moving towards the RC. In RC, it happens that you can't use it. One second. That you can't use it for recording You can't use it for recording and playback. Okay, so this RC is not used for recording and the playback. And in WebDriver, what happens? And WebDriver, as well, it happens that you can't use it for recording. You can't use it for recording and playback. Fine. So this happens in regarding this playback and recording in the IDE, RC and the WebDriver. Okay. Next basically it goes that about the IDE. So IDE here is that its core engine, one second, right here. So its core engine depends on the JavaScript. So JavaScript is the language in which its core engine depends. If I talk about the other, so here is the JavaScript. JavaScript drives its core engine. So this is regarding the RC. And if I talk about the WebDriver, so it has, in that case, it has native integration. It has native integration with the browser. It has native integration with the browser. Fine. So this is the point number 3. That's the point number 3 difference regarding the RC, IDE and the WebDriver. Next, if I talk about the number 4, one second. If I talk about the number 4, so we can say actually that it has a it's UI actually. It has a UI interface. It has a UI interface to work. It has a UI interface to work with the test scripts. It has a UI interface to work with the test script. Okay. If I talk about the RC right here, so for RC it has that it's a standalone Java application. It's a standalone Java application which runs HTML test suites, in the browser. So it's a standalone Java application which runs the HTML test suites in the browser. Fine. And if I talk about the WebDriver, so it is a full-fledged API. It is a full-fledged API and languages like Java. One second, let me get down. It is a full-fledged API and languages like Java, Python, etc. Okay. So this is the next difference regarding all of these 3, which is IDE, RC and the WebDriver. Now moving towards the point number 5. So next point number 5, we can say that, one second. Let me get down. Great. So now here it is that, one second. Okay, here it is independent. It is independent of the Selenium server. It is independent of the Selenium server. It is independent of the Selenium server to run the script. So it is independent of the Selenium server to run up the test script. Actually, not the script, it's the test script, right? Next is that it uses the Selenium server. It uses the Selenium server before processing before processing the test script. Before processing the test script. Okay, so it uses a Selenium server before processing the test script. Next is that Selenium server isn't needed anymore to run a script. Okay, so these are some 5 differences regarding the IDE, RC and the WebDriver which we have discussed up right here in this respective video, right? So hope you got out the very clear idea regarding the differences between the IDE, RC and the WebDriver. That what are differences between these three and how basically these can be categorized according to the differences. What are the differences in between all of these three, right? So hope I'm very much clear with this respective thing. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care. Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So now today we'll be discussing about the difference between the Selenium IDE and the WebDriver. Okay, so this is what we are going to follow up today. We'll be discussing about the Selenium IDE versus the Selenium WebDriver, right? So I would not waste up too much of time into the introduction because we are already very much familiar that what Selenium IDE is and what Selenium WebDriver actually is, right? We are already very familiar with all of these things. So I'll move forward and quickly jump upon to the differences between both of these, right? So we'll start writing the difference between Selenium WebDriver and the difference between both. I will simply write that. Okay, the difference between both is, let's write out the very first one. That's the Selenium IDE, Integrated Development Environment. For IDE, the full form is Integrated Development Environment. Okay, so the Selenium IDE is a tool. Is a tool for recording test cases, and for playback of those. Let me just get down and get out some space. So Selenium IDE is a tool for recording of the test cases and for playback of those test cases. Okay, test cases, fine. So this is what Selenium IDE is actually about. It is one of the tools which is used for the recording of the test cases, and even it is used for the playback of those test cases, right? This is the idea regarding the WebDriver. The IDE. Okay, and if I talk about the Selenium WebDriver now, so if I write about the Selenium, and here goes the WebDriver. Okay, if I write about the Selenium WebDriver, so in that respective case, okay, Selenium WebDriver, it is a tool. Selenium WebDriver is a tool for writing test cases. Used for writing test cases in basically it is a program in programming languages. I would just remind in programming. Okay, in programming I would mention. So Selenium WebDriver is a tool which is used for writing of the test cases wherever required and whatever the language it is required. In that relevant case, it is used for writing up the test cases. And if I talk about the IDEs, so it is one of the tools which is used for the recording of the test cases, and even it is used for the playback of those test cases, right? So this is the idea in regards to the IDE and the WebDriver. Okay, now next in point number 2, if I talk about the next, first we'll be moving toward the Selenium. Now if I talk about the Selenium WebDriver, so Selenium WebDriver, it is an automation testing tool. It is the it is, I would mention up, it is one of a very useful and one of a very used automation testing tool which we have here in the WebDriver, okay, in which we have the Selenium WebDriver, okay. But if I in the similar manner, if I talk about the IDE, so but IDE is actually not. The reason is that it has its limited in its approach of building up the test cases. So it is limited in the approach of building up the test cases, right? It in that respective case, okay. So that is the idea regarding the WebDriver and the IDE. Now what I would do is that I would just take you to my previous of the slide right here. And here also we discussed about some differences between the IDE and WebDriver. Now let's take out a very quick review over that. So if we talk about the IDE, so it is an add-on that is only supported by the Firefox. So IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment, is one of the add-ons which is only supported by the Firefox browser, not more than that, okay, not any other browser than that. But WebDriver is one of the tools which works with many of the browsers like Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Opera, for with everyone, okay. So the very the difference between those. Second is that it brings WebDriver brings one of the most, sorry, one second. Okay, here is the IDE. Okay, so IDE brings one of the most valuable record and playback feature. Okay, as I mentioned in this as well, that IDE is having one of the most valuable records and the playback features, right? In the same manner, if I talk about the WebDriver, in that case, so WebDriver, it cannot use it for the reading and the recording and playback. So WebDriver is not used in that respective case. It doesn't allow us the recording and the playback things using a Selenium WebDriver, right? Now again, if I talk about the Selenium IDE, so in IDE the core engine depends on the JavaScript. So in the Selenium IDE, the core engine of this respective depends on the JavaScript, and if I talk about this respective, that's and this is the one next which we are having up here for the WebDriver. So it has a native integration with the browsers, okay. It has a native integration with the browsers respect to the different of programming languages, fine. Next if I talk about the IDE, so IDE has a UI interface to work with the test script, okay. IDE has a UI interface to test with to work with the test scripts. But if I talk about the WebDriver, so WebDriver is a full-fledged API and language like Java, Python, etc. So it supports all of the APIs and the languages like the Javas, Python, etc. Okay, now next if I talk about the IDE once again. So IDE is one of the is independent of the Selenium server to run the script. Okay, IDE is independent, means for using up the Selenium IDE, you as well need to use up the Selenium server in which you will be able to run up the script. But if I talk about the WebDriver, so in that case, server is not needed anymore to run the script. So in that case, server is not at all needed for running of the test scripts in that respective case for the like it's for the WebDriver, right? So these are some basic differences in regards to the IDE and the WebDriver. Now let me come back here and let me move forward to the rest of the things, okay? Now in the WebDriver, what you can do is that you can use your programming in WebDriver. You could use your programming skills. You can use your programming skills for developing the test case, for developing the test case logic, for developing up the test case logic in WebDriver, right? In WebDriver, as I mentioned. So in WebDriver, you can use your programming skills for developing the test case logic. And now in the same manner, if I talk about the IDE, so here I would mention of that Selenium IDE. So Selenium, and here goes the IDE. So Selenium IDE, in this we have to make the like whatever that appears onto the Firefox browser screen, we have to make that do only. Let me just get down, write that thing. So in Selenium IDE, in this perspective, we have to make do with whatever appears on your Firefox browser screen, Firefox browser screen, and performs on them. Okay, so as I mentioned, IDE only and only works on the Firefox, but WebDriver has many platforms onto which it works out. So for the IDE, we have to make do with whatever appears on your Firefox browser screen, and it performs on them only. Right, so hope you got out a very clear idea regarding the differences between the IDE and the WebDriver, that what are the differences between the Selenium IDE and the Selenium WebDriver. Right. So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.